Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 648. My name is Nick Henderson. I am joined this evening by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Christopher Guthridge.
Hello.
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
It's been a couple weeks since we had our last regular show. Last week, I don't even know what last week's show was, honestly, but it was fun. We just hung out on the stream and watched.
It was a hangout
video. Yeah, we just had a nice little hangout session. It's funny because the plans for that episode started as like, yeah, we'll just shoot the shit and we'll record it and release it as a podcast. That was not recordable at all. But you know what? It was fun, and we watched a lot of stupid, silly videos together with the community. So good times. But as a result, wait, what?
I said we needed that.
We yeah, we really did. We really did.
Recharge.
Everything's kind of on fire right now. So it was a nice kind of way to unwind and recharge with the community. So that was nice, but it's time to get back to business. We're here to talk about video games and stuff. There's a few things I want to mention before we get too far into it. One, the Revival Club right now. The poll has wrapped up. We are playing Bully in the month of July, and I've started. My Xbox just turned itself on. Did y'all hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does anybody else's Xbox turn itself? Oh, okay. I guess nobody else here has an Xbox.
I have lots of questions for you.
Nope.
One, why is your voice stuff turned on? Two, why is your Xbox One hooked up to anything right now?
Okay, so wait, you think it's voice activated?
What?
Do you think it's voice activated?
You might have said something like that, yeah.
I've been trying to figure this out for like months. My Xbox turns itself on.
Is it when you say the word X? Do you even remember how the Xbox One works?
Not really, no.
Yes, it has voice commands.
Oh my god, that explains so much.
It's listening to you, Nick.
Why does my Xbox turn on when I talk about the Xbox out loud? I can't figure it out.
It's heard your indiscretion.
I feel like a real dummy right now. Thank you, Brad. Anyway.
Why does Alexa keep talking to me when I'm having conversations about Alexa?
I swear to God, it turns itself on even when I'm not talking. It's bizarre. Anyways, what was I saying? Something about Bully. We're playing Bully now for the Revival Club, which is a lot of fun. I'm going to be recording a podcast for our last game, Sleeping Dogs, which I finished last week. I'll be talking about that on a podcast in the coming week. I think it's going to be probably next Wednesday because I'm going to be out of town for a couple days. So tune in for that. Also, Brad, did we decide... Do you want me to say this out loud or not?
Yeah, say it, man. Say it. It's real. It's happening. Everyone's on board. Chris Davis is going to pick some games we never heard of, but he promises are like the greatest games from his childhood. We're like, what?
What?
Never mind. Go say it.
I'm going to say this out loud, which means we have to do it. In the month of August, which is kind of a dead month as far as releases go, right?
Kind of is an understatement.
Is it literally just void of everything?
It is nothing. There's nothing.
All right. 2020.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Good luck.
What do we have here?
So in the month of August, we are working to put together, if you remember a long time ago, we did 1996 month. So we're going to be doing the year 2000. I feel like someone needs to say it.
It's hard to, it's 4-player flashback. 4-player flashback to the year 2000.
There we go. 4-player flashback to the year. We're literally brainstorming live as we're talking about this. 4-player flashback to the year 2000. In the month of August.
Sounds weird. So
we're going to stream and play and talk about games that came out in the year 2000.
It's we had a lot of 20th anniversaries this year.
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of good stuff. We already looked over the list and started picking out stuff that would be fun to stream, fun to play. It means the podcast we record that month will be largely focused on, of course, those games. So it should be a good time.
There will be nothing else to talk about.
There will be nothing else to talk about.
That's not true. There are two games that are kind of interesting in August.
I cannot wait to hear.
Let's hear this. I want to hear what Chris Davis thinks is amazing.
Well, Wasteland 3.
Okay, look.
Isn't Wasteland 3? Has that been out for?
No,
What am I thinking of?
Ain't nobody
I don't know
give a
what
shit
you're thinking
about
of.
Wasteland 3.
Also, Surgeon Simulator 2.
Okay.
That would be a fun group game.
Not enough to delay our 2000 month. Okay.
I
I'm
would
just saying,
love
he
for
was
Wasteland.
saying it was fucking dead as a doornail.
Well, here's the thing.
I
There
would
is no
call
such
that
thing as a
dead.
month where nothing comes out. That just doesn't happen.
If those are your two highlights, I'd call that pretty dead.
I mean,
I
for
would call.
us,
You know what I would call it, Chris Davis? You know what I'd call it? A wasteland.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'd also call a Wasteland? In Exile's gameography.
Oh shit.
I'll be excited
Anyways,
for one of their games when they can prove to me that they can make a good one. Although
Anyways.
Spears of War was solid.
and Robert the Third brings up the Mafia remake, but that got pushed to September.
It got pushed. Also, it's a remake of Mafia.
Oh, shots fired! Damn.
Rogue Legacy 2 comes out at the end of this month.
Yeah, early access.
What?
But watch the trailer. It looks good.
What?
So, anyways, the month of August we're going to devote to the year 2000. We're going to play games from the year 2000. We're going to talk about games from the year 2000. It's going to be fun. We're probably going to tie them into some Patreon goals to kind of like stretch goals to kind of turn into like community nights and maybe some open game nights or whatnot. But we're working on putting all this stuff together, so we'll make a more official announcement on the website, on Twitter, on Discord, and everything in the coming week or so. But yeah, now that I've said it out loud, we have to do it. So, boom, history in the making.
I have an idea. Well, should I even talk about the ideas I have for 2000 month? It came to me today when I was looking at the doc. I'm gonna do a.
He's doing it. He's going for
PlayStation 2 launch night. I pretty much have all of the PlayStation 2 launch games.
Did that come out in 2000?
Yeah. So I guess
the bouncer, baby, play the bouncer.
Yeah, I have the bouncer. I think I have most of the launch titles. So I'll just act like it's like launch night, which was hard to get a PS2.
When we did our 1996 month, we did try and do like dress up on the podcast where we dress like we were in the 90s. I don't know what we would do for the year 2000.
What is 2000? It's not cool anymore.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what people dressed like in the year 2000, but there's got to be some kind of Y2K shit mixed in there for good fun.
Brad,
anyways,
I'm going to have to require you to play Fantavision if you're going to do that launch night.
Scares. Yeah, okay, maybe. Fantavision's kind of a Jimmy, actually. Did you know that?
It's not a bad game. It's just really fucking weird.
Well, I have no idea what that is. So, was Onimusha 1 a launch title? I don't think it was.
No.
Yeah, it was an early PS2 game, but not launch night.
Launch window.
But yeah, we have ideas. It could be fun.
Orphan, Scion of Sorcery.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Guess who has Orphan, Scion of Sorcery?
You?
Yeah.
Brad's gonna dig deep for some 2000 jimmies for that month, so it should be a good time. Like I said, we'll make a more official announcement where we have a lot more actual details to share. I was literally just going to say it out loud on the podcast to actually make it real, because once we've said it, we kind of have to do it. And that's how things happen around here. So anyways, we'll talk more about that in the future. Now I want to go ahead and, of course, it's like I said, it's been 2 weeks since our last show, but I do want to read feedback from our last show. On the last show, we talked about The Last of Us 2. It was spoiler free, mostly based on mechanics and stuff, but we do have some comments. Let's get started. Thorax on our last show said two things. One, you better invite David to The Last of Us 2 spoiler cast. And to that I say,
no.
We want to keep the spoiler cast on point. And two, I think the spoiler cast is a full house already. I think most of us here on this show already plan on being on it.
We would like it to be less than 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, although I did see somebody in Discord in the Last of Us channel, they were like, "I can't wait for the Last of Us 2 spoiler cast," and they're like, "But you gotta promise us that you're gonna let it be as long as it needs to be." And I was like, "That's an interesting prospect."
Mhm.
I
We
don't know
should
how
do a
long it
spoiler
needs to
cast
be.
for the spoiler cast.
Oh man, I don't know how
Just
that
like
would work.
just like
Number
take
two,
take the spoiler cast and cut it down to like 20 juicy minutes.
yeah, just like sum it all up. That requires a lot of
Real
revisioning and editing. It's
juice.
too much work.
Like
Unless
an
you wanna do
audio
it.
engineer like yourself.
I'm not an audio. Oh, well, I see what you did.
Got him.
Gotcha, bitch.
What a punk ass. He also says, I'm quite surprised that Crispy not only approved of the gore/violence in The Last of Us 2, but relished in it, considering that he has forgiven the lipstick car person.
Oh yeah. But see, it's because I have that like safe outlet for those violent impulses that allows me to be more equitable to my fellow man.
There we go. That's all that needs to be said. Haste says, Battlefield 1 probably performed the absolute best when using violence as a way to set a tone. It wasn't overdone, nor did it severely understate the horrors of World War I. You hear agonizing screams from people on fire and getting shot, and you hear blood-curdling yells from incoming bayonet charges and enemies getting impaled by lance cavalry. All of this is heard in the distance as well as right in your ear at times. Yet there's no dismemberment and sparse visible blood, surprisingly. There's even a Howie scream. What is a Howie scream?
Probably means a Wilhelm scream.
Wilhelm scream? Yeah. That often is heard, probably to some effect of lightening the mood, perhaps. I think Battlefield 1 is one game that did the perfect job of implementing a balanced diet of impactful violence that allows you to still retain an enjoyable and light-shouldered experience if you wanted to. He goes on to say about the Nintendo Championships. Well, I guess does anybody have anything to say about the violence thing? Because we talked a lot about the violence in The Last of Us 2. And I think we will still probably have a lot to say about it when we get into the spoilers, because, you know, a lot of the violence is tied specifically to the story.
Look at the violence. I will say that the Howie scream is like the Wilhelm scream, but it's a different famous canned scream sound effect.
I didn't know there were multiple famous canned screams, but here we are.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would say, Haste, we'll talk about the violence, and it'll serve as a more direct answer to your thoughts and responses. I like the fact that you brought up Battlefield 1, but we'll talk more about how it relates to The Last of Us 2, specifically in our spoiler cast, but thank you for bringing that up. He also says about the Nintendo Championship style idea of a Bayonetta combo contest. There was something actually called True Style Tournament. It was an unofficial, non-serious thing where notable Devil May Cry players would each upload one combo video as their entry, and people just had a good time with it. That's an interesting prospect. And Haste also says, and you're welcome, Crispy. I think that was in regards to you. You said he was doing something like art related for you.
Yes. Yeah. He colored a piece for me.
Nice.
Very nice.
Slopdog says, I can't believe Chris Davis judged how you guys were, quote, violently playing The Last of Us Part 2, and then later on stated he couldn't wait to throw someone off a tall building and listen to the splat in Hitman 3.
Well, because the violence doesn't count in Hitman.
I mean, Hitman is cartoony
It's
as
just
fuck,
goofy.
but like,
We don't
I
have
think you
to. We don't have to interrogate that violence.
I don't
He's
know,
just-
man. Have you ever threw a can of chicken soup at someone in that game, or tomato soup?
no,
It's
the
brutal.
expired SpaghettiOs is what it is.
It's brutal.
Oh my god.
It's like a
The
tin can
the
denting
impact sound
someone's
they
skull.
reserved for that, yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice.
Fucked up, man.
He says Crispy revels in the violence while Chris Davis silently enjoys it. Nick and Nolan are somewhere in the middle, quietly contemplative, but still up for some murder. Thank you for the breakdown, Slopdog.
Resolute. The bloodlust.
And Riceball has our last comment. Says, what was Brad on during the non-podcast? Should go down as the Bradcast. Had long-winded rants on just about everything that was discussed. Finally, Crispy had to say something so he could make a point. And Crispy, please keep your mic closer to your mouth. That was not even a real podcast,
Okay,
guys.
I'm
We
sorry.
were literally just shooting the shit last week. No record buttons were ever pressed. He also says, why get physical copies of games and movies now, unless you plan to sell them at some point for pennies on the dollar?
That's kind of the approach I've been taking. Is like I don't want to go anywhere that sells video games. So
During a pandemic, for sure, I
I've
don't
been
want to go
downloading
anywhere.
so many
If
on my
if
PlayStation.
I can help it, yeah.
I mean, there is something to be said about. We've talked about this a lot. There's something to be said about collecting and if you're into
Yeah.
the ownership of something physical and having something to display. I don't think it like I buy things physically with the intention, with the hope that I will like it enough to never even consider trading it, and I very rarely trade stuff in for pennies on the dollar. For me, it's about having a shelf to display and something nice to look at and tangibly hold.
I will admit
Um,
that not getting the physical version of The Last of Us was a tough one. That took a minute for me.
it,
But
to
literally,
get
the
like
only reason why I did it was because I could get it sooner by downloading it.
yeah.
That was
I'm
with me in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think
That
it's going to end up being me with Ghost of Tsushima because Amazon still hasn't updated my delivery date and it's still saying it's going to be here like a week late.
Oh yeah, no,
So
mine
I'm
is too. And I said fuck it last night, and I ordered it from Walmart, and they say it's gonna be in on launch day. So fuck it.
I mean,
I'm
the
going to
real
wait until like
trick
the
is to
last
wait till
possible
the
second.
PS5 is out, anyways, right?
Hey, dude, 2020 is taking some serious damage because of this pandemic. Like we have a whole month, like you said, where like just not a lot is happening. So I think it's only going to get worse towards the end of the year. Like we're still going to have big releases like Cyberpunk and stuff, but you're going to start to see a lot of stuff probably slip. I think it's going to be ultimately end up being a year where not just comparatively speaking, not a ton of stuff comes out. So I don't know. I'll take what I can get. I might end up going digital on Ghost of Tsushima for now, and then I'll just pick it up down the road physically when it's on sale or something.
Hmm.
But we'll see. Anyways, that's it for feedback tonight, guys. Again, if there's anything you want to say or you want to if you want to chime in on any conversations we had tonight, please go to 4playernetwork.com, find the post for this episode, and just leave us a comment. I'll read and respond to them at the beginning of next week's show. But now,
Hey, Nick, sorry. I know you're trying to transition. There's
Trying
a
and
chance
failing.
that you would not even want a game like Ghost of Tsushima in your collection. What if you hate it?
What if you hate it?
Now you don't have to worry about getting rid of it.
What
Well,
if
here's
you-
the thing: if I hated it, if I had it physically, I could get rid of it and regain some of that money.
True.
Haha, I got you there.
Like you do with all your Japanese games.
Shut the fuck up. It is funny. Oh, here's well, no, I'm gonna say this for my
Is it funny, Nick?
I'm gonna save
or
that
is
for my
it
4-player
racist?
minute. No, you son of a bitch. That is just a coincidence, okay? Oh my god. Who wants to talk about a video game first? Chris Davis has played the newest thing that we haven't really. Well, actually, no.
I mean, it's
No,
technically
no.
the oldest thing we're talking about.
What's new about it?
I mean, I guess it's new because you're
I'm
right.
the first
You know
person
what?
to play it yet.
Wait,
Brad,
what did he
You
play?
could still talk about it. It's on the picture. It's literally larger than all of us combined. So
He played Gears Tactics, but we'll
Oh,
come
Gears
back to Gears Tactics. Let's start with Supraland Crash. Because Brad, you played that. That came out last week. I played a little bit of it, not a ton. I played like 2 hours of it.
I saw it was
But-
more like an hour.
Are
was.
you stalking me?
It was.
Are you
60
Steam stalking me?
It was 67 minutes.
Yeah, he just rounds that up to an hour. He's like a lawyer.
Yeah, I played it.
You know
probably
what?
about
You're not wrong.
I probably about 8 hours actually.
Damn.
So I played a healthy amount of it. So this is the new expansion. No, it's the new DLC. Superland was sort of that indie darling. Most of us played last year, and we all really enjoyed. I think it made a lot of our top 10 lists. Well, where is it on our group list?
I will pull it up right now. I think it's like number 2. It's right. I think it's right after Outer Wilds.
It was a really cool game that was a sort of a puzzle game.
It was in fact our number 2.
Number 2 game collectively. A puzzle exploration game in a open Metroid style world with
Gumbyvania.
Gumbyvania. No, more like Gumby-troid. Gumby.
There we go.
Like the Talos Principle meets Metroid or something. And it was really good. And when I heard that they were doing DLC, I was like, whatever. I don't care about DLC. But then I heard that this isn't just DLC. It's a new campaign called Supraland Crash in a whole new world, albeit one that's not as large and it's more condensed, but they do some neat tricks with it, and I'll explain
Is
that in
that
a
why
second.
it's not? Is that why it's being called DLC as opposed to a full blown sequel? Because it's not
No,
as
no,
big in scope, but
no,
it's
no.
it's a long ass game.
It is. But it's not a sequel. It is DLC. Like, you're using all the tools that you had in the original game, albeit you get them in a different order, or in a different way. There's much less of a focus on combat in this. And in fact, for a very long time, the only way you can damage enemies is by like stomping. Um, so you don't even get a gun to like attack things. After 8 hours, I still haven't gotten like, I've gotten the red gun, but I don't even have like the regular default fire for it yet.
Yeah.
There's just not many enemies to kill at all, really. In fact, the only time okay, so this is a full campaign. It's probably about half the length of the original Supraland, but the original Supraland was quite meaty. Actually, it's probably more than half. The developers said that it's probably about 10 to 15 hours, the DLC.
Yeah.
And it's got its own world and stuff, and it's sort of a remixing of ideas from the original. Like the first item you get is the gun that shoots out the orb that you can later teleport to.
And that was
And
a pretty late game.
Yeah, that was one of the
addition.
last things you got in the original Superland. The other thing is, because they didn't create as large of a world this time, even though it's all new. They have this clever kind of thing that sort of keeps it fresh, like the by the way, this is a race. This is another new thing in Supraland Crashes. There's this reoccurring character that you race through different environments using your tools, and it's very puzzly. It's cool because she's just a lot faster than you, so you have to figure out how to get to the end using your tools and stuff.
Tools, yeah.
Tools and abilities. But what was I saying? So it is more Supraland, but it is DLC, and it's smart the way they do it, right? Because obviously they didn't have the time and money to make the same large ass world, but they still have a really nicely densed one. But what they do, and I don't know if I want to spoil it, but it's called Supraland Crash for a reason. You're trying to
make your PC crash.
Well, you're on a rocket ship. The rocket ship that you're on at the end of when you beat the original Supraland, and it crashes, and you're in this new place. You're trying to get to Orangeburg, and you do get to Orangeburg, and then you're trying to take another rocket out of there, but the rocket keeps crashing, and every time it crashes, you're kind of going back into that world that you've already kind of explored, but things are sort of changing, things are evolving. There's some really clever stuff that happens to kind of progress the state of the world and like the people within it. Like early on in the game, like some of the residents of Orangeburg like find this keychain, I guess, that falls into the sandbox, because Superland's kind of like a sandbox world, and it's like a keychain of the world. So all of a sudden, like the people of Superland were there. Of course, they were flat earthers, right? Because they live in a fucking sandbox. But now there's this globe keychain, and everyone starts worshiping it, and a cult starts following, and they start becoming like round earthers. And the state of the world and the people within it are changing every time you kind of go back through this world with your new tools and stuff. And eventually they start building a monument castle to the sky honoring the globe, and I haven't finished it yet, but it's a really clever way to remix the world state, because this is DLC. They didn't have time to create as big of a world, right? And it's good. It is more Superland. It's not. You can't be considered a sequel because it's all the same tools and gadgets, but it's all new puzzles, and it's still like really challenging. And the exploration,
puzzle design, like, just because it's hard to articulate this, but so many puzzle games are like, they kind of end up feeling like there's a very intentional way to solve a puzzle, or the way you move through the world is very deliberate. This game just feels so much just like you have so much freedom to just try different things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but you can just like keep beating your head against just a solution, and sometimes you may be like, I don't think this is going to work, but you try, and you eventually make it work. And that is something that feels very unique to Superland, and I love it
for sure. If there's one of the new things in this game, though, is the way they gate your progress is through like resources that you pick up. Like there's not a lot of enemies in this game, but when you kill the enemies, they drop like bones, and the bones you use to sort of unlock gadget or like environmental interactions. So they kind of gate your progress through these resources.
I haven't collected enough bones to really do anything with them yet.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's a different way to like gate the progress. In the original game, there was like a ton of secrets, right? A ton of secrets, but pretty much all those secrets were to like upgrades to your character, and a lot of them were combat upgrades. But now you're finding the resources that gate the environmental like interaction progress. So I think because there's a much less focus on combat, they wanted to find a way to like make sure people were exploring and finding secrets and doing challenges and stuff. But the way it's implemented just seems kind of like whatever. I mean, the way I play these games, I'm going to kind of do everything and explore everything as much as possible anyways, but I could see if someone was trying to critical path this, if that even makes sense, they might be frustrated that they don't have enough of the items that they need to progress. But from my experience, that's not been a problem because I kind of like doing everything and all the puzzles and stuff. But
they did very specifically at the start of this kind of say right out of the gate that it's like they de-emphasize combat because of the reaction people had to the combat in the base game.
Yeah, but just because it was kind of like a whatever thing, right? And so you could definitely see that the developer is trying to like reapproach like the overall design, which is good, which is interesting, which could maybe inform how different like Supraland 2 is going to be, which did get successfully kickstarted. So he is doing a proper sequel. This was just this was.
Was it still I think I was trying to say, or is it?
I think so. I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure though. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everything.
He said he was going to hire a combat designer for the second game.
I see. Yeah,
but that was like a stretch goal. I don't know.
Which
don't know if that happened.
I think the combat here is completely serviceable. It's just not the focus or anything.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, the reason I think it's called DLC, even though it's Supraland Crash, you do have to have the original game, but I think it was like a Kickstarter, like stretch goal, probably. Like he promised like a DLC or whatever, and this is maybe it. And I think there's another DLC coming. I don't know if that's going to be another whole new game or anything, but I kind of just want him to get to Supraland 2 so he can start fucking around with some new ideas, new gadgets, new tools and stuff, because I really like Supraland and I really like what I've played of this.
You know what kept coming up near the end of last year, and we were talking about Game of the Year stuff, and this game came up quite a bit with different people, and I had a few people, especially in the community, who were like, yeah, this game is amazing, I just hate the way it looks. And I was always really shocked by that.
Yeah, I don't get that. I think it looks nice. I mean, I think it just has a nice, charming, colorful look. I think people are reacting to like the way the characters look, the little Gumby people.
But like that's part of the charm.
Yeah, I mean,
they're Gumbies.
I think that is a very like take it or leave it sort of design choice for me. Like when I think about how much I love this game, it's not really at all on a visual level. It's really a mechanical thing. Like I couldn't imagine putting like a wallpaper of this game on my computer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's true. That's true. Although when they do stuff like zoom way out, like at there's a part in the game where you first like launch the rocket and you see like the kid like flying the rocket on around. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So, yeah, here's the Lego monument that they're kind of building to the globe. But every time I've gone through the area again, like
it gets bigger.
They're like working on it and stuff, and the cult starts getting bigger, and it's cool to. It's just a clever way to make a smaller world feel bigger and ever changing. And it's just, I mean, I don't know who this dude is that makes this shit, but he's on some next level shit for a single dude in an indie game. I'm really impressed. And if you like Supraland, pick up Supraland Crash. If you've never played Supraland, buy Supraland. I think it might still be on sale for $9 right now. You should fucking get it.
Yeah, we're coming up. I think we're coming up on the end. Oh, maybe I don't remember, because we did have that Steam summer sale, I guess. I think it ended yesterday. Or no, I guess it ended today. I think it was the 9th, which means you may have a couple hours left to snag some stuff. There's some good deals. But yeah, Supraland was definitely one of the games on sale, so I highly recommend it. If you're listening to this after the fact, though, it's probably not on sale anymore, but it's still worth it anyways.
Wall Carl.
Still worth it, anyways.
So that's over.
Oh damn! Boo! Doesn't. Who cares though? Buy it. It's worth it.
Boo.
It's so damn good. Is there anything else you want to say about Supraland, Brad?
No. I mean, I said my final thoughts.
All right. Well, how about
it should come to Switch? I don't know.
Well, considering he's like a one person team, I'd much rather him focus.
Well, he turned out a whole extra fucking game in between his Kickstarter for his first game and his second game, so I'm sure he's capable.
How much of that do you think he already had, kind of like on paper, before he actually started building?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
It's
also,
I can't
we
even
have been
imagine
in
what this guy's
quarantine for a
notepad looks
good
like.
while.
That's true. Oh, maybe that'll speed up the development of Supraland 2. This guy's probably stuck at home for extended periods of time. Who knows?
Silver lining, if you
will. I guess. Woo! All right, so we've talked about Desperados already, so let's save that for last. Chris Davis.
Hello.
Brad's been busting your balls to play Gears Tactics for weeks.
I know. But when I find out
that has to play every single fucking Microsoft launch title ever, and
wait a minute.
He's living vicariously.
I know the actual reason you waited, and that makes you even more of an Xbot.
What?
Oh God! What?
You didn't want to own a free version of this game. You wanted to own a version of this game you had to spend money on. This is what you told me.
No, I said if I'm going to buy a game, I want to own it.
Oh,
I didn't want to get it through Game Pass because then I wouldn't own it after a while.
But then you could have just bought it later, like when it was on sale or something.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this right now, Chris Davis. I downloaded Crosscode today on Game Pass on Brad's recommendation because he loves it, specifically so I could just try it and see if I like it. But like, I'm already considering maybe downloading it on Switch, which means I would have to pay for it. So,
whatever.
Anyways, let's talk about the game itself.
So, Gears Tactics is a surprisingly decent way to translate the Gears formula into something else, something that's not a third-person cover-based action shooter.
Something that's needed to happen to the series for a while.
Very much so. Very, very much so. It has needed variety for a good long while. This is the first thing they're actually trying that's not...
I was really hoping Gears 5 was going to be that thing.
I was too.
If anything, I was hoping Gears 5 was going to turn it into like a horror game, but that obviously did not.
You've literally been saying that since Gears of War 1.
Yes.
They originally pitched Gears of War 1 as a horror game.
I know, but I'm saying, like, I've been to a lot of E3s with Nick. I've been to a lot of Xbox press conferences, and it's always like him going, man, I hope it's like more of a horror game this time. For like every single Gears of War.
I mean, when you think about it, like, the hope never dies, even if the likelihood of it coming true becomes less and less with each, with each game announcement. The hope never dies.
Eternal optimist.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
Podcast.
I wish Last of Us was more of a horror game, but they insist on having a fucking saying every time you clear out all the enemies in a room, so it just can't be.
That is true. That is true.
Hey, that one part's pretty scary.
Yeah, they're all scripted though.
That one part, yeah.
No.
I don't think there's a part that
you can't ever just be afraid because you know when combat's over and it's time to pick up all your shit.
That is true. I do not have a lot of. I know we're hijacking this conversation. Yeah, let's move on. Gears Tactics. Chris Davis, go.
This is actually a kind of decent video game.
All right, I'm sold.
Yeah. So it really does draw inspirations. Heavily draws inspirations from XCOM, but it does a lot of things that kind of makes it like a more streamlined and maybe even baby's first XCOM.
I could be down for that.
Okay, so the idea behind the game is that it is actually a prequel. It takes place like a couple weeks after
Marcus?
E-Day. You play as the father of the character.
I'm sorry, E-Day?
Emergence
Day.
I just wanted to hear him say it.
Whatever.
Instead, you got all three of us to say
Brad,
it.
shut up. Shut up, Brad.
I played this game before you did, okay? So
shut up. So you play as the father of the main character of the new Gears trilogy, Kat, who they put entirely too much marketing material into, even though she has no character. But that's beside the point. So it's like early on in the war, like the Hammer of Dawn strikes have just happened, destroying like all of civilization, and you're tasked to hunt down who's like making all sorts of new evil bad locust or worse locust. And you kind of lead this convoy of cog and survivors through various different countries hunting down this locust. The thing about it is that when I say it's XCOM light, it is very, very light on that. There is very little in the way of metagame stuff. There is no base building. There is no squad maintenance. There is no extracurricular stuff. It is always
just living in the moment.
It is
basically
you're either you're going into a map and doing your combat encounter, finishing a story mission, or B, you're going back into a menu to arm up your characters and maybe recruit a few new ones. And that's it. There's nothing else.
Would you say this is deeper or shallower than something like what was the XCOM game that came out just a few weeks
Chimera
ago?
Squad?
Chimera Squad, yeah. Because that was also kind of something that we described as like baby's first XCOM, right? Because that was a kind of
this is even more shallow than that. Which is kind of disappointing. At least with like Chimera Squad, all the characters would interact and talk to each other and always have quips. In this, it's only the primary three characters. You can recruit as many up to like I think your total thing is like 30 different cog units, 30 different soldiers of like 4 or 5 different
Do any of them have
classes.
personality or characters that are like memorable, or
they are all differently voiced, but other than that, like their names are not mentioned by the main characters. They don't have stories really to them. They're just like they're more like an even more limited version of the soldiers you recruited in the first XCOM.
That's kind of that's it's weird to think like an XCOM game ended up having more story or more interesting story right out of the gate than something like Gears. Gears is like a game that's been known for having. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of its story, but it has had story. XCOM has never, as like story has always been like the least important element of it. And then Chimera Squad kind of brought it to the forefront. Like they had some genuinely interesting characters. I didn't play a ton of it, but you know, it's kind of weird and disappointing to see that in this game.
But it's a reactive tactics game, you know? The story is more emergent in Gears Tactics.
Wow.
What I will say, though, is that it does have quite a few interesting and fun ideas added to it that make it worth playing through just for the gameplay alone. So it takes a lot of ideas from XCOM 2 specifically and kind of fleshes those out into whole classes. So one of the rules, let me give you an example. Gears of War is known for its violence. It's a very fucking violent series. It's comical with the fucking chainsaw lancer, the whole 9 yards. Well, they take that and they turn it into a mechanic. So when you go and wipe out an enemy's health bar, they don't necessarily die. They'll go into a down state just like in Gears. And they can actually be picked back up by the AI and get a health refill. Same with your guys.
Please tell me the only way to eliminate enemies off the map is to brutally murder them with a chainsaw.
I mean, that might be one of the higher difficulty levels. I don't know yet.
Not just that.
What?
Listen to what he's about to say.
I was going to say, you can spend a character action to go over to the enemy and do an execution, kind of like what they started doing in Gears 2, where it's just over the top and violent. But when you do that, all the other characters in your party get an additional action given to them.
They literally get so amped that they just saw you like chainsaw a dude.
Fuck yeah!
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like
Which
that.
is still properly Gears.
I mean,
That's
I
amazing. I love
kind
that.
of like that.
It works pretty well. So you get into strategizing your sessions because you only have 3 actions per character unless you unlock skills. And I really want to talk about the skill trees in a second.
Okay.
But you really get into a loop of strategizing. Oh, I've actually knocked down this enemy over here. Can I send another character over to get this character into action so they can do more stuff over there? It really becomes a really fun loop there. Also, the class variety is actually pretty good. There's let's see, Scout, Heavy, Vanguard, Support, and Sniper. Sniper, those are the 5 classes. Each one has a surprisingly, interestingly deep skill tree. So much so that you're never going to be able to get one character fully leveled up to unlock everything when you beat the campaign. But they allow you to continue playing, doing side missions after you finish the game. But just the way you can build your characters and how they can actually come pre-built to you. Like there are some characters in here that I have built and I have trained to where they are just strategic murder machines. They're just so much fun to play around with.
I mean, I'll be honest, like Gears is one of those series that I keep reluctantly returning to, hoping if this is gonna be the one that's gonna make me like it. And the combat, while obviously very competent, has just never been very engaging to me. I mean, to me anyways, I don't know. Something about the way it feels, just it doesn't feel super rewarding. So, and I've been like getting more and more into like these kind of like tactical games, and I'm not saying I'm gonna play this, but I'm saying if I was to ever play another Gears game, this might be way more interesting right out of the gate because of that.
Yeah,
skill tree sounds pretty dope.
The mission variety is actually pretty good. The one right here is a rescue mission where you'll find 2 soldiers trapped in torture pods. You have 15 or less turns to actually find each of them and get them out of the torture pods, and then escape from the map.
Torture pods.
The cool thing about these missions, and by the way, there are campaign missions that are just basic story missions, but in between these chapters and the acts are side missions that you can go on, or that they kind of force you to choose from and go on.
And I'm assuming those aren't particularly like relevant to the story. They're just additional.
Yeah, they're just kind of
playgrounds
they're really
with
not adding
objectives.
anything. Yeah. But in doing things like these, like you can recruit like a standard pool of soldiers between missions at any time.
Yeah.
But the ones that you're able to rescue tend to be much higher quality. So you actually want to go on these missions and see what you can do. There's also another that is having you constantly move forward because there's like a nemesis strike behind you the entire time that's slowly creeping up on you. So
you're pushing forward.
So it's a turn-based chase in which they're slowly gaining territory behind you, and they will destroy you if you land in their territory on their turn. So you're constantly being pushed forward, and you have to find equipment cases along the ground to finish the mission. So it can become this really tense loop of just trying to figure out which character is within range to go over here to pick up X thing, but can they get around this group of enemies that just spawned? It's not my favorite mode of the game, but I think people could really find some fun with it.
Cool. I mean, these all sound like, you know, it sounds like it mixes up Gears enough to make it fun. My question for you, because you play all the way through XCOM Chimera, I keep going back to this game.
Chimera
you played
Squad,
that.
Yeah.
Have you finished this game yet?
I actually, just after we were talking last night, I actually beat it. I was kind of surprised that I beat it.
How long is it?
I put 30-ish hours into it, 32 hours.
Holy crap.
I mean, it's
a little long in the
length,
tooth,
but the variety could be better for the length, I would say. I did see maps start to repeat. The levels that I had to do kind of kept looping back in on themselves. The only real difference between them ended up being like the difficulty of the objectives that were assigned to me.
Are these torture pods literally just Iron Maidens?
Yeah, basically. Locust Iron Maidens, yeah.
What do you expect, Brad, from their torture pods, huh? Huh?
Guess it's an effective torture pod.
It works.
But the reason I brought up XCOM again, I guess, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah.
Since you've played both of these games now to completion, and I know it's maybe not a fair comparison because one, Chimera Squad was kind of a mobile iteration of XCOM that was ported to PC, right? It was originally designed for mobile phones, right?
No,
Am I
no,
remembering this correctly?
that was speculation.
I mean, that,
Okay,
that was speculation.
Oh, right, yeah. We were just yeah. It felt like that. Gotcha. So now that you've played both of these, if someone was like, "Hey, I want to play a tactics game, but I can only pick one or the other,"
Oh, I know the answer. Horizon's Gate.
all right,
That's the one I chose that month.
Well, he's not asking you, Brad. He's asking
but that's not
me.
even the same style of game, is it? Yeah, sorry, Chris Davis. I'm asking you, having played both of them to completion.
I kind of would say Gears Tactics. I think there's just something kind of fun about how they figure out how to do all these different classes and have them interact and do all these different objectives. I don't think the storytelling is that good, but it's very isolated little things that kind of come together and make it a better experience. Like this game has boss fights, like really boisterous big boss fights.
Nice.
And they're not
that are
not
fun
too
and
special,
satisfying
but
to fight using these mechanics.
yeah. Like the first boss fight, I think is my favorite of the three in the game. I really kind of enjoyed that one. I kind of want to play through that one again because it was so much fun to do.
Hey Nick,
Uh-huh.
I'd like to give you an honest answer for a game like this that would be like a really good, a lot less intimidating than XCOM, but is honestly just as dope.
Uh-huh.
You should pick up Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle for your Switch.
I've played that.
Oh, how much of it?
I beat it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He played the
I beat it
DLC as well.
I played it and beat it when it came out.
Wasn't
that game was amazing.
sick? Yeah.
The game
Okay,
was fucking
so
sick.
you've played an XCOM game.
I know. I'm not saying I haven't. I mean,
Oh.
I've played XCOM. I was terrible at it, which is why when Chris Davis says something like "baby's first XCOM," I'm like, oh, maybe this is good for me. And Mario vs. Rabbids was also that, and that's why I loved it. Which is why hearing him say that about Gears makes me think if I played this might end up being my favorite Gears game.
I mean, it's
man,
kind
I
of
want
rude of
another
me
one of
calling
those.
it baby's first XCOM, and I only say that because
Well, calling
This is-
anything
this-
baby's first blank is
You mean this is man's first XCOM? Because XCOM's for nerds. Gears Tactics is for men.
I mean what I meant to say was that it's not as
brains too.
it's not as beefy an experience because it's missing those metagame elements of, again, base building and squad management and training and all these different things.
For sure.
But the core gameplay loop of going into missions, taking out locusts, and completing objectives, it's pretty fun. Again, the
Sweet.
variety is lacking in the back half of the game. But
I hear this game is too long and it should have ended a lot sooner.
Honestly, I kind of tricked myself into thinking it was going to be a much longer game because all the Gears games have a 5-act structure to them for the story, and this ends with the third act, and it kind of ends abruptly, just like only a few hours after they introduce a new character. But I don't know, maybe there's like epilogue DLC coming in the wake, but it's
Hey, it sounds like you enjoyed it. So like
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it.
Ooh.
I just wish there was more of it and better variety to it.
Which is better, this or Halo Wars 2?
I don't remember anything about Halo Wars 2.
Dude.
Well, there's a good chance. There's a good chance in a year.
Small
you won't remember anything
aside
about this either.
Small aside, back before the pandemic, and I was going to the gym. I had a personal trainer that I would see every once in a while, and he would, when he would start having like small talk with me and stuff while we were working out. One day, we started talking about video games. He's like, "Dude, my favorite video game. I play this endlessly. Halo Wars 2." And he would
Really?
and he started, yeah, dude. He was like, balls to the wall crazy about Halo Wars 2. I
That
was like,
game
more
was
power to you. I don't get it. That's cool.
was
The
a
only thing I
revelatory experience
remember
for him.
about Halo Wars 2, other than the fact that it had the brutes in it this time, is that it was competent for a console RTS. That's the only thing I remember.
But the Warthog physics.
I think what you're describing is exactly why the people who like it so much like it. It's because they like that style of game, but they may not have PCs or what. So that seems like the obvious choice for them. But I don't know. And saying a game like that is competent on console, I mean, that's a compliment. I mean, I don't know if it's justifies it being a real game changer, but hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
All right. I'll move on real quick to another game that's kind of similar in the same vein. We've talked about this before. Chris Davis has finished this game. Are you still playing Desperados, Brad?
Yeah, when I can, but not really.
Yeah, I'm moving kind of slowly through it as well.
It's
And mostly because all the levels in this game take a long time.
It is beefy.
The level that I finished last night, I was literally took me 2 hours to finish. And then today, let me just say this, today, while I was recording this footage, I discovered a feature I didn't know existed. That if you hold X, it makes everything move faster.
I don't know. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you haven't been using that?
No, I haven't been using
It speeds
that.
up like the cycles of patrolling and stuff.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
I'm sitting here waiting for someone like guard to turn around, I'm literally waiting in real time for him to turn around. So I have a feeling I'm going to start to really enjoy myself a lot more now that I know this little trick. But yeah, so Chris Davis finishes. I'm on like the 6th or 7th mission in this game. But it's really kind of started to come into its own for me. I was running into a bit of an issue. I don't want to call it an issue. It was a struggle for me personally with this game last week, and that was that my enjoyment of the game is at odds with just a fact of the game, which is you're meant to try things and try and fail repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. So like as a result, it's very snappy. It's very quick. So when you fuck something up, you hit F8 and you're immediately back in the game, and you can you can be like, oh, well, I can correct what I just fucked up. But at the same time, as a result, it kind of kills the feeling of I did this cool thing. Yeah. Because it took me 15 tries to do it.
I can see that.
But at the same time,
I understand that perspective, but at the same time, I'm like, if I get it on the 16th try, I'm like, good, I fucking got it.
I know, I do. I still feel that
it's very Hitman that way, though. Like,
yes, I still feel that excitement, and I still feel that satisfaction when I pull this shit off. But it was like I said, it was bothering me more, and it was probably bothering me because of how much the time I was investing in it. And now I feel like it's going to move a little bit faster because of that stupid trick. And I'm finally starting to get to
the reason I think it's okay in this game, like I think it's okay in Hitman, which is another game where you're like constantly reloading and fucking up, is that especially because you're playing as multiple characters, I feel like you have a lot of freedom to kind of approach a situation how you want. And if you like fuck up real bad, you could just try something completely different. And I think that's kind of cool.
It is. And what's even crazier is like, I'll be honest, this game might be one of the hardest games I've played in years. And just in terms of like the enemies in this game, like I was going into it thinking how I think about most other video games, right? In terms of like how enemies or how enemies move around the environment and they have cones of vision, and I always kind of assume that if I'm far enough away, I'm out of sight. These enemies are so aware of what's happening. It's insane.
Nice.
I know, dude. This is what I'm talking about. Like, it took me like 4 tries just to do this first thing in this mission, and that's how the entire level goes.
The first thing you need to do is to hold right click to make sure no one's looking at that person.
I know, and I do that. I kind of forget that feature exists sometimes, so I start to use that more when I start to get frustrated. But it's still like I think honestly I think everything in this game is beautifully designed, like in terms of how you learn your environment, how you know how your position in the environment relates to everything around you, how you can tell if you're doing something that's safe or not safe. But it requires you take the time to think before you move and hold down the right mouse button to make it so you can kind of see the cones of vision and see their lines of sight. But you're also taking into account enemies as they're moving, so that stuff is constantly changing. So you kind of have to try to account for that at the same time. But it's just I've never played a game where enemies felt so damn sensitive in terms of like they can see you from very great distances. If you move out of the corner, it almost feels like if you move in the corner of their eye, like they're going to turn their head and see you. Like when enemies are like standing, like even standing still, like across a room, they'll be like turning their head, like just in their standard character animation, like. And when they do that, their cone of vision moves. So like if a guy is just kind of leaning up against a shack and it turns his head to the left at the wrong moment when you're trying to like dash across the thing to get into like a bush to hide, you're fucked. Reload. But at the same time, it's so demanding of you that you start to get really good at it. And then you start to like they introduce all these characters and then slowly start to layer them on top of each other. So like I'm at the point now where I'm using like 3 characters at once, and I'm sure it's going to get to a point where I'm using like 4 or 5 characters at once. And telling them and like going into the, what do they call it, Chris Davis? The freeze
showdown mode?
Yeah, showdown mode. When you go into that mode and all of a sudden you have multiple characters and you're like telling each one of them to move and use an action in different directions. Like when you take out 2 guards at once with 2 different characters using the showdown mode, good.
What you just did there, this is your footage, Nick?
Yeah.
See, you improvised and you pulled something off.
I know,
like,
and that's why I love it.
Shit was going bad, but you're like, let's freeze time. I bet I can make it over and like throw that knife at him and get him in time. And you did. And that's cool.
I'll be honest, like I was struggling a little bit with kind of reconciling that feeling of frustration in my head with just how brilliant I think this game is from a design standpoint. And I think this might be one of the most fun games I've played this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
And I'm absolutely, and also I haven't really mentioned this yet, but like I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying the story. Like I didn't really know how a game like this would tell a compelling story, but like I'm absolutely, I like the characters so far. I love their interactions. I love the little scenarios that play at the setup each mission, and how they flow into each other, and how you can see the map and how all the locations that you play at relate to each other. And all the missions so far have been super diverse. Like they look different. They have different twists to them. It's just all the way around like super well designed. I'm kind of blown away by this game.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm watching your footage and you're not putting away bodies in bushes. Why?
Oh, I usually do, but there's not a ton of bushes in this general area. And also, anytime right there, I don't know if you can. I probably have a delay. I'm looking at the stream, but there's a lot of. I kind of know there's this dude walking around in the direction of the bushes, so I'm not obviously dragging enemies slowly towards the bushes because he's like making his rounds and he'll see me. But usually, I absolutely look for the closest bush and drag the bodies to it. So don't worry, Chris Davis. I know what's up.
Okay.
Also, I love the distractions.
You didn't need to reload there, but whatever. I mean, I get it.
There's been I've had to like kind of remind myself over and over again. You don't have to reload when you fuck up, and I sometimes just do it instinctively. There's been a couple times where I've resisted the urge. You fuck up, and you take out someone, and then you run and hide. But here's the thing: if you take someone out, you get spotted. They call for backup. A bunch of dudes come flooding out of like a shack, right? They flood the environment. Those dudes don't leave when the alarm is lifted. They are now patrolling the environment, so you now have more enemies to deal with. And sometimes it feels like, well, I don't want to deal with this extra guy, so I'm going to reload. But at the end of these missions, it tells you like for a better score or for a challenge, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, what the fuck? How? Like some of these challenges are ridiculous. Like there's one whole mission where it's like they teach you how to eliminate these special guards by throwing a burning torch into like a puddle of oil that they're standing in. And that kind of makes it easy to eliminate groups of enemies at once because they're all standing in the puddles and stuff. And then it's like, and that mission took me 2 hours. And then it tells me at the end, accomplish the mission without lighting any of the puddles. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then the next one was finish the mission in 17 minutes. And I was like, this took me 2 hours. What
Oh.
the fuck?
So I agree. I think like the post game challenges that they show off are like can be insane to think about. Like there were some that I was like, there's no way I could do this. I don't understand
It
how I'm
seems
even
like
supposed to.
it seems like they're made for the people who made the game, because
But
they know it
then
so well.
what you're going to find out as you play is that about halfway through the game, you get letters from a somebody called the Baron. And
Okay, don't spoil story stuff.
No, I'm not. It's not a spoiler for a story. So when you get halfway through, you get a letter from a Baron, and he's basically daring you to go back and replay a mission you've already done, but with completely different characters, completely different objectives, and even
That
different
could be
starting points
interesting.
and things. Like it's
Because all the characters play dramatically different. Like
they all do.
I'm having to split the characters up through each map because of how their individual abilities work, and that's a really cool feeling.
Yeah, but oh my god, like I tried to play through a Baron challenge map and I stopped in 5 minutes. I was like, there's no way that I can figure out how to do this right now.
I think I'm
This
going to
is
settle for
insane.
just playing this game once or just playing the regular vanilla ass levels and just be done with it.
But I do
Because
love how they have that level of replayability and value there.
it's fascinating. And if I was the kind of person who let myself obsess over a single game and play it endlessly, I would probably end up doing it with this game.
You know what's another fucking great thing about this game? The AI nav pathing that you're seeing right now. If you were to save in the middle of it, it wouldn't keep that same nav path. They have a random path every single time.
That's really cool. Also fucked up.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say, I think it's really cool because a part of it you have to take into consideration, especially when you're trying to pull off an action like an attack. All the attacks kind of have like a radius that makes sound. So like if you stab someone, it'll create a sound, but it'll be a very small radius around you that can hear it. If you fire a gun, though, that radius is obviously a lot bigger, and it shows. And so if there's an enemy, so you kind of know, should I pull out my gun and risk shooting this guy? But when you go into like use the gun, you see that radius, so you can be like, I'm gonna fire my gun, and as long as no other characters are in that radius, unless they're looking right at you, they're not gonna know what happened. And you have to take all that shit into account, and that stuff is so well done. Hard as fuck, though. Hard as fuck. This game is one of the hardest games I've played in a long time, but it's so good.
But the thing is, like you're creating additional difficulty for yourself because of the way you're playing.
I haven't seen a single yellow line, Nick.
I know. I'm really bad at doing. I only do that when I get frustrated. I need to get better at doing that throughout.
I'm just saying you try playing through a map pacifistly, and you will be surprised at how the game changes.
Davis.
Oh, Chris Davis, have you not killed any cowboys?
No, I've killed some cowboys, but like, no, the way they handle like that quiet level of demand for that gameplay it's a night and day difference between that and the actual combat that Nick is experiencing.
I know. You know what? I like the act of killing cowboys in this game. It's very satisfying. But maybe I'll try to be sneakier sometimes. You know what? In closing, I'll just say I think this game is brilliant because it has like an amazing visual language that's used to great effect. So
I can't wait until you meet the final character. The final character is so good.
I like all the characters so far, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
She's not the voodoo lady, is she?
Who do you voodoo, bitch?
You want to answer there?
No.
Well, there was trailers for all of the characters.
I didn't watch any of them.
Oh.
Yep. I mean, I don't really care. But
because those are spoilers.
Spoilers for a prequel for a game.
I mean, I don't really care. I don't really
Bethesda.
care about spoiling the characters. I suppose. Damn it! Let's not bring that up again.
This game is so good, man.
This game is fucking fantastic.
Do you like it more than Shadow Tactics?
Oh,
I mean, Ninja are pretty cool.
Cowboys
Dude,
are cooler.
Ninja are really cool.
Shadow Tactics barely ekes this one out because I think they have a more dynamic and interesting story.
I'll tell you right now, I am actually finally interested in playing Shadow Tactics because of this game. I don't know if I'll do it very soon because this is a lot. This game requires so much of you.
Is it because you're too busy right now playing Batman?
Yeah, but I'll talk about that later. Let's let's take a break.
Talk about Batman. Oh,
I want to take a break.
that was a transition.
Okay. I didn't capture footage of Batman. You want to hear my thoughts? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
really want.
briefly.
I don't have new or insightful thoughts to share about Batman.
You put it on the damn doc. I want to hear
I
what
know,
you have to
it's-
say about Batman.
It's more of just kind of like a little experiment. Like so next month they're supposedly we're going to see the announcement for the next Batman game, the next big Batman game from WB Montreal, and it started making me think about the series again, and then almost like as if it was a sign, Wario64 tweeted about that bundle, the PS4 dual pack of Asylum and City went on sale for like $10 or something, and I bought it. And I started thinking about it more, and then I started to realize. So Robin always says Asylum's her favorite. She's played all of them now, except for Origins, and Asylum's her favorite.
Is my favorite too.
And then everyone says Asylum's their favorite, and I was thinking to myself,
well, a lot of people say City.
I know, and that's kind of my inclination is to go straight to City. But I've heard a lot of people say that Asylum is their favorite, and I love Asylum. I have never been more excited about a new superhero game than when that game was announced. It looked amazing, but this is also a series that I've felt has gotten better mechanically speaking, and even narratively, or at least presentationally.
It started to get a little bloated.
I mean, but you're talking to someone who like. I'm gonna be honest, Brett. I think I just like bloat. I like games with bloat. I guess I don't know.
I like all three of the ones I played, but Asylum felt the most kind of like a Metroid-y style thing.
Did you not play Origins at all?
No, I didn't play Origins. I finished all the others though. I just heard Origins was kind of B team, and it felt like it.
See, it's funny because I'm thinking about replaying the series, and I don't know if I'll replay Knights because it's been so. That came out fairly recently, and I'm not ready to go back and play it again yet. But Origins is the one I'm really interested to kind of go back to the most because of the fact that it's the B team, and because
I love it. It's your favorite. It's not my favorite.
I feel like
this is how all conversations about like, oh, I like fucking Aliens 3 and Terminator 3. They always begin like, you know, I kind of want to go back, revisit that one. And then like 10 years from now, you're going to be talking about how Origins is your favorite and fuck everybody.
But that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Okay.
Although I did rewatch Alien 3 recently. That movie's pretty
It's so weird. It's like the only one I want to rewatch. And I watched it.
No, I mean, obviously it's not the case because I'm playing Asylum right now, bitch. Okay. I'm just like, I'm gonna play all three of them again. I think that Origins is just.
Should I play Origins?
Yeah, it's fucking.
Well, I gotta be honest with you.
Why don't you instead play Blackgate?
You know, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
I mean,
Blackgate
is like a
2D
Brad
Metroidvania.
Blackgate's really good.
Yeah, but it's never like, and it's Armature who made it. But it's never like super cheap. I guess I would play it on Vita. Damn it! What was I saying about you fucking motherfucker? Origins.
I don't have any insight.
Here's why I don't want to play Origins, because it's a thing that I think everyone thinks is cool in video games, but I always hate it in video games. And that's that, like, oh, let's like piece together the scene and like scrub through the scene and look for details. It's like in every game, and everyone thinks it's like it's like
that
it's
one
like
aspect
deep.
makes you not want to play the entire game because that's not like how the
Isn't
whole game
there a
works.
lot of that in that game?
No, I wouldn't say a lot. I mean, they do that in Night too.
Yeah, I know, and I don't like it.
But like, how much do you do it in Night? Not a ton.
I don't think you do it that much.
Origins
was the one that like I really felt like you could just blast through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what is this?
What is the order, guys? That's one thing I want to ask.
That was like the one new thing to that
for me.
game.
Asylum.
No, not in terms of which ones you like.
Blackgate, then Origin.
I'm talking about the order of what's the recommended order of playing them?
What?
Well, I don't know.
The way they released, probably, right?
Probably. I mean, the way they scale up the combat. I don't think you really
get anything from that. Like, I don't think there's really anything from like the story arc of those games that you get by like.
You're right. Probably not.
The order that much. Like they're kind of.
That was like the only new thing they added to Origins. I think maybe that's my hang up.
You know, the reason I'm excited to play Origins again, a couple of reasons. One, I always really liked the idea of Gotham at Christmas time. Like, from an atmosphere perspective, I thought it was a really cool touch. Two, I liked a lot of the characters and the villains they went with for that game, like using Black Mask. Chris.
Those
Chris
seem like all the villains that I wouldn't like. They're all just.
It was literally like a grab bag of people that they're like, we're not going to use them anywhere else. Like, I don't know.
That's true.
Deathstroke was in that one.
Yeah, see, Deathstroke seems really lame to me.
I fucking hated that Deathstroke fight so much. So much. I hated
It's one of the
that.
few boss fights I remember from that game. I thought I
feel
liked
like the
it. I don't
only
know.
thing I remember about y'all's conversations about
was like a
Arkham
weird thing
Origins
about-
are
yeah.
exactly what's happening right now. You
Yeah.
hate the Deathstroke fight. He likes Christmas, and that's it. That's why I never played Batman Arkham
that's
Origins.
the game. There's like, that's the game.
I mean, it's another.
Don't forget the
Batman game.
Electrocutioner.
It's another Batman game.
I do like the Batman games. Is it another one though?
Yes, it's another one.
Is this
Look at
like
that.
Dark Souls?
Game.
Is this
It
like Dark
may
Souls
be-
2 where everyone acts like it's lesser than, but it's actually just as good?
I mean, it's probably the
not
the worst of the four, just objectively speaking. But like, it's still good. Anyways,
you,
I didn't
Jack.
mean for this to devolve into me defending Batman Arkham Origins. I'm playing Asylum right now because I wanted to remind myself why so many people consider that one their favorite. Because to me, it was the first one to try what it's doing, and mechanically speaking, and narratively, or maybe not narrative, like writing is fine, but like the way it's presented, everything is just not quite as refined as it was in, especially Night. I don't remember much about City either because I haven't played that one since it launched. But this is a series that, at least when you look at the Rocksteady games, has gotten better with each entry, mechanically, graphically, presentationally, narratively, in my opinion. Anyways,
maybe when they
so-
reveal the new one and it looks hype, if it looks hype, maybe I'll play Origins.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's.
Is it on the Switch? Maybe I'd play it on
Origins?
The Switch.
I don't think so.
Huh.
No.
Or are you talking about Blackgate?
No, Origins.
I don't think so. I think the only way I'm going to be able to play that is if I turn on my PS3. I hope it still turns on. Anyways, let's take a break. Come back. We have a few news topics. And then some questions to answer from our supporters on Patreon. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Is there ever a fear when you're going to clap that the wind pressure would make your arm hair fly up into your palms and completely dampening the clap?
Damn.
Me? No, I can't say I've ever had that fear, Brad. Thanks.
not before today.
Yeah, now I will forever think about that. Oh my goodness. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We have some news. It's been 2 weeks since our last show, so there's been some news worthy of discussion here. I'm gonna go right down the list. So be ready, Chris Davis. Be vigilant. First and foremost, there's a Microsoft event happening on July 23rd, and leading into this, first of all, the show is, I guess, supposed to be Microsoft's first-party exclusives focused, right? It's supposed to be focused on the games that you can only play on Xbox Series X, which is kind of what I thought the last two Xbox events were going to be, but shows what I know. But leading into this, the Fable and Perfect Dark rumors are firing up again. Brad, I have a feeling you've been keeping your eye on this more than I have. I keep seeing this come up.
Well, here's the deal. We're probably going to see a new Fable.
But
what is it going to be? What is it?
Said that.
Well, it's one of the worst kept secrets in the industry, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense that they were holding it for next. Huh?
I thought they were going to do that the last two E3s. Is this finally going to happen?
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, as far as like when they were going to pull the trigger, I mean, look, it makes sense that they were going to wait till next gen because the Xbox One was a train wreck, right?
Right.
So it makes sense.
It kind of makes sense as to why we're seeing all of these projects like Fable and the Batman game and the Rocksteady game are waiting. They've been waiting on next gen.
Exactly. Playground Games. This is the studio that multiple sources have alleged that is making this Fable game. They're the creators of the Forza Horizon series, which are like open worldy racing game things.
Right.
My question for y'all is, what does this need to look like to get people excited?
Breath of the Wild.
It's funny he says Breath of the Wild, right? Because honestly, I think everything should look like Breath of the Wild right now.
Exactly.
But when you're going back to a series that has been gone for a while, right? I feel like there's this
also
threshold
associated with some like it. I don't want to throw Peter Molyneux under the bus necessarily.
Yeah.
No, he deserves to be under that bus.
Yeah, he's long gone. But what I'm saying is, when you're returning to a series that people loved, but it's been a while. There's like a threshold, right? Where the further you get away, the more it needs to be like different, right? But once you go past that line and it's even further than that, then it needs to start resembling the way it needs to start resembling the way the games used to look like for nostalgia's sake. You know what I mean? My question for you, has it been long enough? Has it been so long now since the last Fable game that now it just needs to look like Fable to make people happy? Or are we still in that time period before that to where it needs to look dramatically different and be dramatically different?
I think it needs to. I think the important thing that will make it resemble Fable mostly will rely in its art style and like making it feel kind of whimsical. You know what I mean?
Like
but I think,
Fable?
But what is it? What is it?
But like, I think structurally it needs to be totally different. I think this needs to
be like, so an example of what I was talking about is like Devil May Cry 5, right? It had been so long since Devil May Cry proper that just being another one of those was good enough for people because they wanted it back again. You know what I mean? It had been 10 years. We're in a similar situation with
the same team. We're talking about like
sure. That's true.
It's funny you mentioned Devil May Cry because this is going to be the first Fable. They made 3 Fable games, core Fable games by Lionhead. Yeah. This is the first team other than Lionhead making a Fable game. This very much could be like the Ninja Theory DMC of Fable, where it resembles something but is also dramatically different visually.
That could be like the new God of War.
What are the things that this game has to have to be Fable? It has to have you have to be able to like fart, British humor, whatever, stuff like that.
Well, I think one of the things that definitely needs to have is that like legacy to your decisions and actions. Like a thing about the first 3 Fable games was that, I mean, if you did poorly in combat later on in life, your body would be covered in scars. Or like your decisions that you make in the game will affect like the aura.
You mean all that fake Peter Molyneux stuff, which wasn't actually ever all that well realized in the games?
Yeah, but like actually realize it this time.
But Peter Molyneux also has a tendency to get crawl. He's scatterbrained. He has so many different ideas. He never executes any one of them.
Well, sure, but I think Chris Davis has a point in that, like, what are you going to do to stand out in 2020 or post 2020? You know, next gen console games in which games like Dark Souls and Breath of the Wild and like all these
Witcher.
great action games, The Witcher have come out. Like Fable hasn't been around for a while, so what does it have to be different from any of that? And I think technology has gotten to a point where they can go back and re-examine some of those philosophies and some of those ideas that back then were just Peter Molyneux blowing smoke up everyone's ass, but now maybe it's something that could be done.
I got it.
It's funny you mentioned British humor though, because I think maybe that is an element that can tie into it. And I don't know
Destiny with fart jokes. Destiny with fart jokes.
I don't know if you're gonna like this.
It's like The Lighthouse
with chicken jokes.
I'm gonna get a lot of eye rolling here. I think Fable needs to go open world.
But what does that mean? It's always been open world.
Not really.
It's been that like connected series of areas.
Yeah, I mean, but it's still open.
The term open world has changed so dramatically since Fable was a thing.
You mean Elder Scrolls? Well, but when people say that, they mean Elder Scrolls. They mean
or
like,
Breath of the Wild.
Elder Scrolls Breath of the Wild.
well, yeah, but Breath of the
It
Wild
just needs to be Breath of the Wild, okay? God.
Breath of the Wild is an Elder Scrollsing of Zelda,
Wow.
right? The where you can see
Except
like
better.
every part of the land and you can just walk there and you don't need to follow a fucking load
Okay,
screen or a
but-
path or
But
a.
Breath of the Wild's way better than Skyrim.
Well, I probably agree with that.
I mean, there are people out there that would fight you on that, but no, it's a fair statement.
I know, but they're wrong.
I think
I just think I think that like when I say Breath of the Wild, I don't just mean like the open worldedness of it, like the kind of freeform structure of it. I also mean the like borderline simulator nature of like the way physics and systems interact with one another. Like
Hey,
the way you're literally just like they give you building blocks that all interact consistently with each other in a way that lets you be experimental and like figure out cool crazy shit, you know?
You like
With
Breath of the
fart
Wild? Yeah,
with a dedicated fart button.
if you like Breath of the Wild, you should look up that leaked footage for Gods and Monsters, that Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
That we saw like a cinematic trailer of or whatever, and we're like, oh, that looks kind of like Breath of the Wild. Well, I don't know if you heard the story, but they accidentally uploaded a build of it to Stadia. So for like half an hour, people were able to play the game, and there's a lot of leaked footage out there, and it looks exactly like Breath of the Wild. Even the stamina meter's like a circle in the middle of the screen, and you're like climbing stuff. It's just Breath of the Wild.
Here's my question.
I applaud them.
Are we cool with that?
Yeah, I am cool with that.
Okay, cool. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds pretty good. I'm cool with
Have
that.
we hit a point where we've had too much Breath of the Wild? Because I have.
No,
I don't know.
I still want more Souls games.
I know.
Souls clones.
Have you played the Mortal Shell beta? I played a little bit of that.
That looked stupid.
Dude. Fucking.
That is a
Elden
Dark
Ring.
Souls game.
I hope it's Dark Souls meets Breath.
Okay, so Fable, yeah, Fable also needs to make money. So
Again, and I'm going to say this. I don't know exactly what this means or how to articulate it, but I think a key element of the formula for Fable is that it needs to feel like this whimsical nature to it. It needs to be lighthearted and humorous, but also have tinges of darkness to it. And I people bring up like the good versus evil meter and kind of how you can build your hero to go either way. And I want them to lean into that. I think there's a lot of ways to make sure it makes people think of Fable and doesn't feel out of place with the Fable name on it.
So
okay, so here's my next question. What the fuck does Perfect Dark have to be relevant in 2020?
hang on,
That
let
is a
me
quarter
say
question
something real quick.
Oh.
I think that one of the key things that they're going to have to push for Fable, they're going to have to go back to that original idea of Fable, where it was about a heroes guild and building up your character's reputation and going out on adventurous missions. And when you say Destiny, it disgusts me. But the idea is actually...
Hang on. I can understand that from any of these other guys, but from Mr. Division here, Destiny disgusts you. Why don't you go fuck yourself?
The moment Chris Davis said that, I was like,
man.
But what I'm saying is that
Crispy's got a good point.
The actual gameplay loop of a Destiny-like is not that bad an idea for a Fable experience, so long as they have the, like we were mentioning, like those Breath of the Wild interaction mechanics, and also that focus on the legacy of your character. I think all
so
three
you
of
need
those
to be able to
elements
buy
make a pretty good game.
beanies for your character, right? And cool tack vests.
Fuck
And
because he's like, I'm on board. Yes, give it to me. All right,
Let me pay real money for clothes for video game characters.
no, I
love
was
to
making
do
fun
it.
of Division.
I
not
love to do
Destiny.
it.
let's pivot for a second. You asked the question about Perfect Dark because there's also
Yeah,
rumors
what the
about
fuck is Perfect Dark gonna be?
that is much
That's
harder.
a lot harder, right?
Even make
Huh?
Who's even making that? Are they?
So-
are they
Well, the
saying-
rumors are the Initiative, who
Yeah, the
isn't
Initiative
ready to
is a
show
new
their
studio
game.
they made.
They're not ready to show their game. Apparently, that's the official word from Microsoft. But we could still get a teaser, an announcement of that they are doing it. You know,
what did the Initiative make before?
nothing. It's
They're
a new
a brand new
studio.
studio.
Oh well,
But
that
then-
would make because they were one of the new studios that was formed recently.
So the question is, what the fuck is Perfect Dark in this day and age?
Oh my god!
How do you make that?
It's a first-person shooter with an emphasis on secondary weapon capabilities and tricks and equipment and stuff.
That's not a video game. No,
Hear me
like
out.
what is a first person?
Game.
No, what it
Brad,
those first person shooters are not coming out anymore.
hear me out though. Breath of the Wild.
Perfect Dark, Breath of the Wild. I mean, make it, dude.
No.
Ship it.
No, not everything can be or should be Breath of the Wild.
But sure, but you said a shooter with secondary fire. What is the game like structurally? How do they make money? How do they sell? How do they sell microtransactions?
We were in the era of GoldenEye, where shooters were like level based, and level based shooters don't really, unless I'm.
You're right. It's not going to be level based. I mean, Doom is. I don't think this can be like Doom.
I feel like if they were to look at like modern day shooters and like model Perfect Dark after something.
Yeah, what?
Far Cry? I don't know.
Far Cry. So I heard some people say Deus Ex, right? But
Deus Ex is more of an RPG.
Cyberpunk coming out. Huh?
But Deus Ex is an RPG. Are we expecting Perfect Dark
that's
to
what
go?
I'm saying. It needs to be or like a RPG or a immersive sim. But like a Prey or whatever. But or
I would take either an immersive sim or an
like
RPG.
a Dishonored.
I feel like those are the only way I would really be interested in I mean, to be honest, and this is coming up because again, we mentioned we're doing 2000 month next month. Perfect Dark came out in 2000, and I've never played it,
which is crazy to me. That's so crazy.
But I own it because I have the rare collection.
I learned two things about Nick, and sorry we can maybe use this transition when we're talking about games that we should play in 2000. This dude, he's never played Perfect Dark, which is crazy because GoldenEye was like one of his favorite games back in the day, and he was a big 64 guy, and everybody played Perfect Dark. And two, he never played that Neversoft Spider-Man game.
Oh,
but he
dude.
I mean,
Really?
that's crazy to me. Both those came out in 2000, which led me to like something had to have been going on in 2000 in Nick's life to where he didn't play these games.
But here's the thing, again, and I said this to you in Discord, I was a very different person when it came to games.
He was a dweeb. He was playing Final Fantasy IX and Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, and that
I probably played like
3 times each that year.
That's funny.
That was how I played games back then.
See, yeah, I had those years, but I guess I don't know. I still play Tony Hawk.
Also, bitch, I was probably still playing GoldenEye.
Oh man, Perfect Dark is just better. It's just better GoldenEye. If you love GoldenEye, you'll love Perfect Dark.
But the thing is, I was such a James Bond geek back in the day that that's what
Perfect Dark has all the cool gadgets that a Bond game would have, even cooler.
Have Bond. That's what I'm.
Okay.
That's what I'm
saying. Wait a minute.
Laptop gun.
Laptop gun. But wait a minute.
Oh shit! Laptop gun.
You didn't want to play as a lady.
Oh, Nick.
I'm not saying that now. I'm saying in 2000. Is it a possibility that what were you
asking if I was sexist back then?
Were you like in middle school or something? What were you in 2000?
I was a freshman in high school in 2000.
Is there a chance that you saw a lady on the box and you were like, "That's
absolutely not"?
You sure? I mean,
absolutely not.
Okay. It's a possibility. I would give you a pass.
I was playing Tenchu Stealth Assassins in 1998, and I was obsessed with Ayame.
Okay.
Wow. Bitch. Also, Resident Evil 2, playing as Claire Redfield. Okay. Amazing game.
Okay.
Definitely had nothing to do with. I've always loved lady characters.
Oni?
Just so you know. Huh? What?
Oni?
I didn't play Oni. That was more of because that game kind of looked bad.
It wasn't that good a game, no.
A Bungie game.
But it was interesting. In fact, it was a fucking Bungie game.
Oni was a Bungie game.
Cool ideas there.
Let me tell you this. This is pretty much guaranteed. In August, when we do 2000 month, I am going to play Perfect Dark on one of my streams. Maybe, well, no, I suppose. I was like, maybe even both of them because I have the rare collection. But Perfect Dark Zero didn't come out in 2000.
Spider-Man as well.
Does Perfect Dark Zero just suck? Or
yes, don't play
it does. It is. like 5 years ago, I went back and just tried it for some reason. It is so much worse than you remember.
It's bad.
Oh my
really-
god!
But I don't remember. I
No,
never
no, no.
played it.
Oh,
All right,
it's a garbage fire now. I'm telling
let's
you.
move on. Hey, well, I mean, I get it.
Dark,
Fucking-
you steal an alien. You know what? I shouldn't spoil it. It's a
it
good game.
sounds like
It's
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
it's a good game. It's a good game.
All right, Brad, I think you put this next news topic on the dock as well.
Oh,
2K?
what is it?
2K
put that
maybe
up
setting the standard
No,
price.
that's a Chris Davis,
2K,
but it's relevant.
2K is rumored 2K may be setting the standard price point for next gen games at $69.99. I haven't seen this circulated a lot because obviously none of it's official. But it sounds like one of the 2K sports games is already being. What's the deal here, Chris Davis? You got to fill me in.
The basketball game, 2K, NBA 2K.
NBA 2K21, when it launches, the current gen price is going to be $60, but the next gen price is going to have a $10 buff.
That is significant. That every year that is one of the top.
Guaranteed?
I'm sorry?
Is this 100% guaranteed at this point?
That's
what they've said.
Yes.
It's announced. This
It
is
is announced.
This is probably going to set the bar.
I mean,
if it ever, the thing is, NBA 2K is like one of the best-selling games every year, and everyone else is going to look at this and saying, "Well, if they can get away with it, so can we."
I mean, to be honest, I kind of expected that to happen this gen, but it didn't.
EA and Activision have been pushing for this for a long time because most of their big AAA games now have $70 editions that come out alongside the $60 edition. They'll just have like a theme and an avatar.
Yeah, it's $10. If you sell 5 million copies of a game, multiply that times 10.
No, for sure, but I'm like,
It's a lot of money.
I think the reason they've been doing that is to like start laying foundation and conditioning for people not losing their shit when games do jump up to just being $70.
It's been so long since games were not $60 for me. I don't remember what my reaction was when that became the standard.
Pretty bad. It was pretty scary back then.
I mean, also, but at the time, I mean,
the reason PlayStation was
that's like the whole reason I was
success-
so gung-ho about getting a job at GameStop in the first place, because I wanted to save them. I wanted to still buy games, but save the money.
Well, one of the reasons I think the PlayStation was so successful in the 90s is because like Nintendo games were so expensive, and like the better ones were even more expensive, right? Like RPGs were like $80, and PlayStation comes out and they're like, all our games are $50. And I feel like that's a big reason why PlayStation just sort of trounced, everybody in the 90s after.
But I mean, here's the other thing.
Games affordable.
We keep seeing this discussion come up, and this point made by people in the industry, especially, that quote unquote AAA game development isn't sustainable. And I think part of that equation is, if games are going to continue to cost what they cost now, it's not sustainable. If people want to continue to see these games like Horizon Zero Dawn or The Last of Us Part 2 or God of War 2018, like if you want those kinds of experiences, the price is going to be paid in what you pay for the actual box. I mean, and that's,
I feel like we've been paying the price with microtransactions and DLCs and like season passes and early releases and dumb statue editions and stuff.
all of those decisions, all of those features that you just, or not features, but all of those strategies you just described were done specifically to address that issue.
They're doing it because these companies are greedy and they wanted more money, but that's fine. That's what they exist to do, right?
Have you seen what it costs to make a game? Have you seen?
No, but like I'm saying, we're gonna pay this extra $10, and all.
But
of
it's
that
not like these companies
games is still gonna be in there.
Also, it's not like these companies are making these games anywhere near at cost.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be making them if that was. The case.
They're making an extraordinary amount of money. A lot of them.
Also, remember the fact that there hasn't been a general price increase in games in over 15 years. And also think back to like the early 90s and mid 90s. Like it was still kind of the Wild West back then. There were SNES cartridges that were releasing for like $80, $90 for games.
Yeah, I mean, we said all
Like
this.
these
We know.
prices have been here.
I'm not trying to say that, um, you know, like Crispy said, they're not making these games a cost. They're obviously making a profit, and yes, they want more profit. But that's always going to be the case, and it seems to me like if something's going to give, I mean, there's going to be two camps. Like something's going to have to give. You're either going to people are going to have to start being okay paying more for the products, or they're going to have to start being like, okay, if they wanted to make, say, just since Last of Us is so popular, Last of Us Part 3, if they were going to start making that, they were going to be like, well, we can't afford to make Last of Us Part 3 as robust or as long as Last of Us Part
Yeah,
2.
but
So
why is the onus on us, the consumers? Why isn't it on the
Why did-
executives to be okay with making less money?
I'm devil's advocate here.
Like,
Here's how you save money on games.
I'm
Stop making them
specifically thinking
30
about all the
hours long
people-
for no reason.
I'm specifically thinking of the people. And I don't know the numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think about a team of like 450 people
Yeah.
working 7 years on a game.
Yeah. and not getting
and
paid what they're due for it.
yes, and that's
Yeah.
like
That's not because we're paying $60. It's because, it's not because we're paying $60 instead of $70. It's because the companies they work for
are shitty.
are beholden to stockholders who just want to make money.
And they're
So,
making them make 30 hours worth of assets of unique.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to die on this hill or anything. I'm
Yeah.
trying to play devil's advocate here.
Why are Assassin's Creed games 80 hours long? Do they need to be 80 hours long? If you make less of a game, it costs less to make.
But here's the thing: if somebody, and this is just my take, but like I've seen a lot of people say like, "Oh man, The Last of Us 2 should have been half as long." I don't feel that way at all. I am of the opinion that like they told the story they wanted to tell, and I love that it's as long as it is, and that they got as much juice out of it, and they had as many environments as they did. Like that's part of the reason I adore that game. I wouldn't have preferred a half as long version of The Last of Us Part 2. I know I'm probably not in the majority there, maybe, I don't know.
What if the next one is 50 hours?
I mean, here's the thing, like making a 30-hour game doesn't mean the next one has to be 50 hours. It could also mean like
That's
that
the
one
way
is
the
30 hours.
industry trends with AAA.
Sure. I mean, it seems to me like that The Last of Us Part 2 is 30 hours because they had a very specific story they wanted to tell, and that's just how long it ended up being. If you tell a story that is different and just can be told in a shorter amount of time, then by all means make it a shorter game. I don't even know what we're arguing about, because like at this point it's kind of, like we don't know if they're gonna go into they're gonna like start a project with, okay, we have to make a 15-hour game because we can't afford to make, or because we haven't been given the budget to make a game that's longer. I don't know.
Whatever. I don't pay full price for games most of the time anyways. You know, we live in a world of subscription services and shit. I mean, brand new games coming out on Game Pass day and date. You know, they're whatever. They're not going to get $70 out of me. So more
All right.
power to them.
Fair enough. I mean, everyone's gonna be a little bit different. I don't know how I'm gonna react if this becomes the standard. But you know, you know what I think we'll see. If anything, it'll be $70 for the box, $60 for the fucking digital copy. You're gonna start to see the prices.
This is happening now. I would not be surprised if Cyberpunk is a $70 game.
You might be right. And the thing is, a lot of people we live in a day and age where people are getting more and more comfortable going all digital. I'm not there yet. I'm getting there, I guess. I'm becoming more comfortable buying digital games, but like
$70 for a digital only game.
No. What I'm saying is $60 for a digital game, 50 or 60 for a digital, 70 for the actual physical. But you're paying the $10 premium to get the physical box. That's what I think you're going to see first, if anything.
Well,
who knows?
Retail. Yeah, well.
On a side note of that story, a couple days ago there was a report that Microsoft is telling publishers and developers that when it comes to upgrading from current gen to next gen, they're insisting that those upgrades either be free or those upgrades have to be tangible for the price point they charge. So if you're not going to deliver via their smart delivery or your own comparable free upgrade plan, then you have to have that upgraded version with that price point reflect in something like
That's good.
DLC or
That's good.
content or something.
It
No,
seems like
I feel
Xbox,
great.
Microsoft doesn't want this shit to be messy. I think they're trying to like set a blueprint for how consoles come out in the future, and they don't want to see greedy
I mean,
publishers fucking.
They don't. They don't want to be the. They don't want to be the butt of the joke, for lack of a better term. Again, with this console launch, so I think they're
Mhm.
making as many smart, good decisions to make them look better as humanly possible, which I think is going to benefit everybody because you're going to see Sony and to a lesser extent Nintendo following suit because they're going to be the ones setting the standard, which is great. I think this is just a byproduct, another byproduct of competition that benefits the consumer. It's it's a changing landscape. We're gonna have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But these are it happens with every generation. These are the growing pains that come with new hardware. And last generation it was something else. This generation is going to be a totally different set of problems that we're going to have to see addressed. But it's going to be interesting because we're getting there. It's weird. It feels like it's right there on the horizon finally. So, anyways,
So,
what else do we have?
you removed my story that I posted.
I was going to tell you to save that for a 4-player minute.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I can mention it, but what are we going to talk about? You want me to super hot? There was a super hot
hot.
announcement.
That is more of a
4-player minute. we'll mention super hot again.
I mean, it's not news; it's hype. I mean, I get it. I'm hyped too.
I mean, it is news. It's a title announcement.
This is news, and let's try to. So, Brad, you're going to be the one who wants to talk about
Sure,
this.
sure. What is
The
it? Show it to
fighting
me.
game community had a really bad.
Yeah. The fighting game community, lots of allegations, right? Lots of allegations. A lot of okay, I guess the first big one is one of the founders and tournament organizer of Evo, which is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world every year. Well, he was found out to be a person who takes advantage of children and people in the fighting game community who were. The bad part is it seems like it was kind of an old guard thing, and people knew about it, and they just were like, "This dude's gross," but whatever. We have to work with him. But anyways, these allegations came out. He admitted to it. He's been removed from. Evo's been canceled, by the way, because as soon as this happened, players, commentators, and then actual games started pulling out. And eventually, they just said, "All right, Evo's canceled." But it was going to be an online thing, anyways, this year, which was going to be a kind of a sham, anyways. But honestly, Evo might not exist at all anymore.
I mean, it'll be replaced by something else.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It might be, but the other thing is, and a lot of the allegations centered around pro Smash players and commentators. There was a lot of big names in Smash, like some of the best players in the world, like Zero and Nairo and D1, who's like maybe the biggest Smash commentator. Like a lot of people all come out to either pedophilia and or rape, like bad shit. A lot of people's careers are over. Look it up. I saw a Reddit thread that just tried to compile all of these allegations that were coming in for all these different people, and it was like dozens of names. So there's
you might say there's been a bit of a cleaning house.
Yeah, which people, you're like the FGC had a bad week, but a lot of people don't want to see it that way. A lot of people see it as this is a good week, right? You get rid of the scum and then try to rebuild and go from there. But it's just shocking how many like of the big names are.
Dude, it's scary, especially when you see it on the scale and you're just thinking of like how many other big names just in other industries do we just not know about, man. It's I can't even begin to wrap my head around it. It's fucked up. I mean, I hope it is a situation like you said where it's like, let's look at it as a positive thing and get all these terrible people.
It is a
out here.
positive thing, and I think, and you started seeing, people started cleaning house. People started getting dropped from like promotions and stuff, and like a lot of people's careers are over. But you even see people going to like back to like oh, people know you said this racist shit before and they tolerated it, but we're not going to do that anymore. And people getting dropped from their esports teams and stuff, which is that's a fucking good thing, man. That's a good thing. So,
Whew, yeah, it's heavy.
clear the way, man. There's nobody left, so it looks like I'm gonna have to become a pro Tekken player, right? We need some competitors.
Do it. Maybe you should start.
Yeah, time to make way for a new, younger generation.
There's an image. I'm a 4-player minute.
4-player minute. There you go. There's the instinct. I don't know what I want to say about this, but Amazon has officially announced their intention to partner with Bethesda for a Fallout TV show.
Boo.
I find it funny. All these announcements for like games and stuff being made into movies and TV shows, like 90% of them are like, why that game?
Yeah, why that game? Why that company?
Insanely successful.
Fallout might not be the worst choice. I mean, to be honest,
insanely successful video game franchise.
No, I mean just in terms of like, it's not. Some games, I don't feel immediately. They don't have obvious potential in like TV or movies. I was shocked when Castlevania became as big of a hit as it is, because I didn't expect that to translate well.
But that was a cartoon.
I know, but like that's because they identified what would work best for that, and they did it. They did it smart.
Also, the creator of that show, Scumbag, I think.
Really?
Yeah, he's a comic writer. Crispy shouldn't know who that guy is, right?
Who?
The guy who made the castle. I don't know.
Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis, really?
Yeah, Scumbag.
Yeah, Warren Ellis has got some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where they go with Fallout. I mean, I can see how. I mean, post-apocalyptic television show. I don't know. Is it going to be the vaults that make it identifiable as a Fallout show? I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting choice. But I mean, here's the thing: Amazon. We've been hearing about Amazon making this Lord of the Rings show for like 3 years, and we still haven't seen like a photo of that. So I don't know. This feels like the kind of thing that's like been.
The ring didn't get destroyed in a day, Nick.
I know. I'm just saying this seems like one of those things that we know exists now, but we're not going to see any part of it for quite a while. Amazon seems kind of slow to, light the fire under some of these newer deals they've been making. Who knows? Also, pandemic, right? Pandemic's going to slow everything down a bit.
As it does.
That's it for news. So I want to answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon, which I have here. Again, guys, if you're a supporter on Patreon at any tier, or if you're a $5 or if you're a subscriber on Twitch, you have access to a poll or a Google form, if you will, where you can submit questions every week. I update the Patreon thread every week to remind you. If you are a Twitch subscriber, you can go into the supporters channel in Discord, and the link to that form is pinned to the top of that thread. So you can leave questions whenever you want. I'm collecting them here. I have a bunch of questions. So I'm just gonna start at the top here. You guys ready?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Zero Skies is a patron, and he asks, besides wanting the game itself, what is required in a collector's edition that would make you buy it? For me, I like collector's editions with full-size art books the most, like the recent Xenoblade release.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I usually regret my decision to get collector's boxes. I'm really happy with Last of Us 2 box.
The only
In the Resident Evil ones.
And the only collector's editions that I've been like, yeah, that was money well spent. Like, I would probably do that again. Are ones that came from Bungie games, weirdly enough.
Cat helmet? Did you get the cat helmet?
Cat helmet?
I had my cat helmet.
I thought he was picking it up off his desk right now.
I don't know.
The Master Chief helmet. It came with Halo.
Yeah, the tiny Master Chief
Halo
helmet.
2. Yeah. The Halo 2 one?
No, Halo 3, I think.
It was Halo 3.
Halo 3.
Yeah, because I
The
Technically,
was
yeah.
Legendary
get that one.
Edition.
I never get like if they do like layers, if they do like levels, I usually do the middle one. I don't go like for the big one that comes with like the statues and stuff. But like the collector's editions where like they have like boxes with journals and art books and stuff like that. Like those ones have usually been really high quality. Anything I've ever gotten, even including the Vault Boy one or the Pit Boy one. Like
Yeah.
if it's got like a physical component to it, like that thing is always going to be a piece of shit.
The Reach, the Halo Reach, I think it was at least the special, if not the Legendary, had a physical like handwritten journal from Dr. Halsey.
Yeah,
you
that
could
was a
read
good
through.
one.
It was really cool.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
The Halo Reach one was really dope.
Hmm.
But like for me, the biggest seller is usually like in-game stuff.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I tend to go a little bit of the opposite, but the first things I'll tell you this: the statues I never used to be interested in statues, but the ones that have come out since the Resident Evil, both the Resident Evil ones and the Last of Us one are super solid, like super hefty. They don't feel cheap at all. They're very detailed. They look great. Also, strangely enough, this has been more of a case with the Last of Us 2 box, but like the box, the actual physical box that they deliver the thing is like a perfect like stand for it, and it's like really like a really high quality like black display box that I've been using that says The Last of Us on it, which is pretty cool. But also soundtracks and art books I tend to gravitate towards.
Soundtracks I always want to get. Yeah.
Why soundtracks though?
Because I don't know. I just like I have entire playlists of video game music, and I just like to collect as much of it as humanly possible. One of the main reasons I went all out and I bought that Turok 1 and 2 physical edition from Limited Run. Something aside from the fact that I love those games, but they both came with the soundtracks, and like those soundtracks you can't really find easily.
Sure. But a lot of like soundtracks that come with like modern AAA game releases or whatever are like usually not even like the full soundtracks. They're just like,
it's weird. So the Last of Us came with a full
yeah.
soundtrack, but it was digital, and it goes on the PS4, and you can't pull it off the PS4. I've tried. You can't even like save it to a thumb drive, so it's just on the PS4, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't buy a lot of like collector's editions. I can't even really think of the last one that I had. I know I got the lunchbox for Fallout 3, but I don't even think that cost that much more. But that was so long ago. The thing is, when it comes to like statues, when they come with statues, they're always so expensive. And the way I see it is like you can spend that amount of money on like really high quality like figures and statues for shit you actually care about, or even from the same series. That's usually better. So I've never really even had the desire to get like a statue edition or whatever, but
yeah,
I can't even imagine what would I would want would get me to buy a collector's edition.
All right. Next question comes from Bring to Raucus in chat. He is a patron and a Twitch subscriber. Thank you. He says, after finishing The Last of Us 2, the game has definitely been known to be the most polarizing, divisive video game of 2020 to an extreme extent. Do you think spoilers/leaks added to this? Was this sequel even necessary? I guess he has a bunch of questions. What other game or games can you think of, if any, that had a similar effect to this degree?
This is a big fucking question. I think we can answer that very last part of it, and the rest he's gonna have to wait for our spoiler cast. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which one do you say you want to answer? Was this
the very last part of the question where he said another series? Just read that last part again.
What other game or games can you think of, if any, that had a similar effect to this degree? What was the last most divisive game?
Like Metal Gear Solid 5 was a big one, I think.
But like, I don't even feel like Metal Gear Solid 5 is fast or as strongly as it did with The Last of Us. Like, I mean, it was divided.
The Last Guardian.
Were people that upset about The Last Guardian too?
Well, I mean, I think
we
it was
talked about it.
Not even that many people even played The Last Guardian. I feel like, I mean, it definitely wasn't zeitgeisty like fucking Last of Us 2. Maybe like what was the Kojima game from last year?
Death Stranding.
That was very divisive.
Death Stranding specifically came up in a conversation I was having in the Last of Us 2 Discord this week, because someone said that game was as divisive, and I don't even think it's weird, because to me, The Last of Us, I'm first of all, I'm constantly shocked by how divisive The Last of Us 2
Is it even divisive by like legitimate, sincere people who've all finished the game?
I don't really think it is. I mean, I think there's a lot of discussion to be had. There's a lot of, different feelings about, how certain things ended, but like most people tend to be agree on certain facts. Like the game plays beautifully. They like certain parts of the story, other parts not so much. But like the people who are violently just like spewing bigotry and hatred towards it,
That's a different topic, though.
but it's all being lumped together, which is the problem.
Yeah, that is a problem, but it is not
Like,
part of why the game is maybe legitimately divisive.
but somebody brought up Death Stranding specifically, and I was like, if you want to talk about a game that I feel like should have been divisive, like extremely divisive, I feel like that would have been a better choice because mechanically speaking, that game is not fun in the traditional sense. And a lot of people didn't know what to expect of it. A lot of people probably dropped $60 on it, not really understanding what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like the conversation ever got as intense about Death Stranding when I think maybe it should have been.
What about like Square Enix stuff like
Fantasy 15.
like Final Fantasy 15 or 13 or Kingdom Hearts 3, that sort of stuff? Like
Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't even know if that's divisive because I think most people were. I think the majority of people.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's because the people who liked it were hiding from the people with their pitchforks out.
But sometimes I feel like that's the healthy choice.
Okay. I mean, yeah, maybe.
Like some of the discussion.
Personally healthy, but maybe.
I mean, it's what I'm saying. Like some of the Last of Us 2 discussion, not in our own community. Almost everyone in our community has been very respectful and cooperative, and conversations have been mostly great. But I've been thinking about that game nonstop since I finished it. So I want to engage with people about it. I want to talk to people about it.
God.
Anytime I kind of go outside of our community onto like social media, I instantly regret it.
Where are you seeing that though? I feel like this is one of these things where people are like, when the dust has settled, it's not going to be as like Osama bin Affleck compared it to The Last Jedi, which I don't think it's going to be.
I will say this. I think this absolutely is, because that's one of the questions, right, that he asked this week, or I don't know. Yeah. So this is one of the questions I was going to get to on further down the line. Somebody asked, here's the bomb throwing question: is Last of Us 2 The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker of video game sequels? I don't really want to justify that. I don't really want to entertain the notion of that question.
Yeah.
Outside of to say, if I was to draw a comparison, I feel like the response to The Last of Us 2 is very, very similar to the response people had against The Last Jedi. And just like The Last Jedi, I don't get it.
I guess since I've not been reading post-game conversations because I'm still playing it, I don't know what people are saying, but I feel like I'm not hearing a lot of hate, legitimate hate.
It's bad. I can't even tell you how many times I've had to like walk away from social media because it's just people are infuriating about this game.
A lot of baggage.
It is so much toxic discussion happening out there that it's completely pushed me away from the idea of talking about this game outside of our own community. Because people in our community, like I said, have been mostly respectful, open to hearing other people's thoughts and ideas. That does not extend.
So toxic.
That does not extend very far beyond the walls of our community. It is
all because Abby has buff arms and
among other things. But like, dude,
it was. Me and Malia were playing, and her impression was like, "Wow, those are some large arms." But then it became like it was almost like they were doing bits. Like she kept doing stuff like, "Oh, let me turn this crank. Oh, it just broke off in my hands." We were like dying laughing because of course it did. Look at you. You have giant arms. It reminded me of the Seinfeld episode with Man Hands, where like she opened it off and Jerry's like, it wasn't a twist off. Yeah. Because they were doing stuff like that. I don't know if it was self-aware or what, but
you know what? I hope it was.
She's very strong.
We don't have to talk much more about this because, like I said, I think we've covered it. I don't know, to get back to the question at hand about what other games have had a similar effect. To be honest, I can't think of another game that's had this much of this divisive of a reaction. The fact
To a much lesser extent, I would point to Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
that's a much lesser extent.
But that's also ties into a bunch of political bullshit here in the US. So.
Political bullshit. But see, that's the stuff I'm saying. That's dust settling stuff, right? Well, the reason seems controversial is because this is a huge game and a lot more people are playing it than other games, right? It's so many people are talking about it, so it seems like crazy, but eventually 2 years from now people are going to forget about the stupid fucking Gamergate shit or whatever, right? And people are going to say, okay, well,
I think time will be kind to this game, just like the first one. Maybe to a lesser extent, but you're right. The dust will settle and it'll be fine. But it's hard to draw the line in the sand. It's hard to tell the difference right now between legitimate discourse and criticism that's rooted in bigotry and hatred. Because some people some people who are doing it for those reasons are injecting themselves into conversation and trying to sell their arguments like they're legitimate, and they're not. It's just
it's what they do. It's what they do.
Let's go on to something a little more lighthearted. Atlanta.
Like pedophilia.
No. He says his name is
me.
Well, because news topics. I guess we're not even on the news anymore. But
Atlanta asks. I don't know if because that says name and location. He put Atlanta. I don't know if maybe he just didn't tell me his name. Says, would you rather? This is where it's going to get lighthearted. Would you rather have an always erect wooden penis?
Wooden? Like made of wood?
Made of wood, or shiny glass nipples that slightly poke through your shirt?
Well, I'll take that one.
The nipples. Wait,
having my actual fleshy penis become a piece of wood, yes. or shiny nipples?
Yes, wooden penis or glass nipples.
Was there like a set length on the penis?
No, I think it's just
if it's trade up. Maybe I'll take.
Look, I'm not too worried. I'm already a bit of a shirt poker, anyways. So not gonna change my life.
But the real problem you're gonna have is with pants. If you go with the wooden penis,
the real problem is that your penis is now a piece of wood. What kind of question is this?
I don't know, but this is not the first one of its kind tonight.
Yeah, but people can have full sex lives without a penis.
Okay, yeah. I still take the nipples.
Have you ever? I feel like you'd be constantly aware, and it would just be like
your penis is a piece of wood. What are we talking about?
You would go through shirts a lot more often.
Do you just have fleshy balls dangling on the end of your piece of wood?
That's a good. That's also a good.
I didn't say anything about testicles.
Let's just assume
if my balls are still fleshy. No, I choose the nipples.
Wow, fleshy balls with a wooden dick. That's
oh my god.
Weird.
I'm just thinking of the inconvenience of trying to put on pants every day with a wooden penis. Just like it's not.
Yeah, the pants.
Yeah, I don't leave my house that much anymore.
Who needs pants?
Eventually, we will return to some semblance of normalcy, Chris.
Do I get to choose the size?
And maybe I can do that with a brand new penis.
All right, next question comes from Negative Cosine. It says, KFC has established and pioneered the bucket as a new standard of measuring. But just like the USA and the imperial measurement system, no one seems to be adopting the bucket standard. What foods would you like to purchase by the bucketful? A bucket of hot dogs, a bucket of coffee, etc.
How about a bucket of chicken? I like chicken.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
So someone that my roommate works with, she does a lot of charity work, right? And the organization that she works for got this huge shipment of food from Rudy's Barbecue. Uh-huh. And they gave a bunch of it out. There was a little bit that they needed to get rid of for I don't know what the reasoning was. but they had like this extra food that they didn't need anymore, and it was basically just like side dishes. So she gave us literally a bucket of cream corn,
Fuck.
and that was I was
That was
like, oh
dinner
wow,
for
that's like, I mean, it kept long enough that like it was like, man, I could just buy a bucket of cream corn and have a little bit of cream corn whenever I want. And I don't know if you've ever been to Rudy's Barbecue, but their
I like
cream
their cream
corn
corn,
is
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good, yeah.
That's true. I would take a bucket of potato salad over the bucket of cream corn.
Fucking Rudy's. How come they
No.
don't have a mac and cheese, man? What's up with
I don't
that?
know. How come nobody has a mac and cheese? How come Texas barbecue game is so fucking weak?
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm not gonna shit on the brisket, but the
brisket's fine.
the sliced white bread. What is that?
You know, for the
Come on.
number of barbecue places there are in this fucking state, the number of bad barbecue places is astonishing. I didn't think there were bad barbecue places before I moved to Texas.
Yeah, but see, now you're probably sounding like an asshole to people who live in like fucking Nevada or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there's good barbecue there, or
Dude,
Idaho.
I lived in Florida, which is not a place that's like known for good barbecue, but they have good barbecue there.
Damn.
I don't know.
I go to Florida for barbecue.
My favorite barbecue place in Austin does mac and cheese.
All right, remember, guys, the question.
You know what I think it is?
Your favorite place is
Bucket of
Dickies.
barbecue, obviously. You know what the problem is? Is that Texas has bought into the regionalism of Texas barbecue so much. They've become relaxed. They've rested on their laurels.
Yeah.
And they haven't improved. They haven't gotten better. They think just because I smoke and cut up a brisket that people are gonna want to pay $15 a pound for it or whatever.
Yeah, but don't ever underestimate how different other food regions can be, especially up north. I'll never forget
Well,
that.
I think
When we went to an
regionality-
IHOP with sci-fi chicken, and I was like, I'll have the chicken fried steak, and her entire family said, "What the fuck is chicken fried steak?"
Yeah, but that's as much an issue of vernacular as it is actual food. It's not like they don't have fucking Salisbury steak up there, which is sold as the exact same thing. They just put brown gravy on it instead of white sawmill gravy, which is better, by the way. But like food regionality is like breaking down. It's not as much of a thing anymore. You can get good pizza outside of New York. You can get good steak in fucking Alaska. You can I don't know.
I agree.
I just go for a bucket of sandwiches, man. That's perfect for me.
That's a road trip meal. One time somebody brought us a bucket of donuts, like smashed donuts from Voodoo Donuts, and that was
smashed donuts.
Well, I mean, it was a huge bucket of donuts. The weight of the top donuts,
a bucket of donut
down
holes
on the bottom donuts.
Interesting. I'd take a bucket of donuts. That sounds pretty good.
It was pretty cool. We probably ate into that bucket a little longer than we should have when they were like starting to get all stale and everything.
What about a bucket of spaghetti?
No.
How about a bucket of cum?
Okay, next question.
Brad loves eating cum.
Oh my god.
By the buckets full.
All right, two more questions
Glad we
tonight,
recorded
guys.
this.
We have time for two more questions. I can't believe y'all said that. I'm gonna read an Osama bin Affleck question because it's become tradition at this point, and they're really good. His latest horrible question is: would you rather your entire body be constantly itchy or constantly sticky?
Sticky,
Itchy.
right? Because if I'm sticky, that's a problem for other people, not me.
Oh, it is a problem for you, sir.
Yeah, what
But-
about like trying to sleep in a sticky bed?
Yeah,
Ugh.
Itchy though?
Itchy,
I mean,
you can
I feel like
eventually get to
you-
the point where you can ignore the pain, okay?
but like I don't think you.
I feel like in the spirit of the question, it has to bother you, right?
Have you
has
ever
to
been in a
itch.
situation where your entire body itched for a long time?
Yeah, I mean it's a
I
nightmare.
think I'd go sticky.
Ugh.
Itchy would like I like scratched a cut on my leg the other day and like accidentally broke a scab and just started bleeding everywhere.
Ah,
I was just like, itching is the fucking worst.
yeah.
That's a
My wife has eczema and she says "fuck you."
So she'd go with sticky.
Yes, probably.
Oh, that's
Hmm.
just.
I'm just
No.
trying to like the hardest part about the whole question is what Crispy said, which was imagine trying to sleep in a bed while your entire body is sticky.
Yeah.
That
But
sounds
think of it this way.
so uncomfortable.
What if you were sticky enough that you could just like climb up walls?
Yeah. Yeah. Silver lining.
But wouldn't you have to be naked to do that?
Okay.
No, just
What's
hands
wrong
and
with that?
feet.
It's like,
Hands
like
and
I
What's wrong? You
sounds
got a
like
problem with my sticky
Do it like
dick?
Spider-Man, hands and feet.
I'm just saying the
God.
rest of the world might have a problem with it.
I guess it depends on how itchy and how sticky, right?
Yeah,
Itchy
he
and
might have to
sticky.
he might have to follow up and clarify that for us
I mean,
later.
sticky is just it's an inconvenience for everyone. At least with itchiness, it's just inconvenient for you.
Fuck everyone else. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'll
All
be
right.
sticky. They'll have
Last
to
question.
adjust.
Last question for the night, guys. From again, if we didn't get to your question tonight, doesn't mean we won't. We skipped it. We'll get to it on a future show. We do this just based on time. So, Carpe D says, "Hi guys, my question is: being game streamers as you have been for many years, how much do you think it affects your play? How much do you think it has effect on you as far as your playing and your way of thinking about games? If 4Player Network didn't exist, your interest in games would be the same, bigger, or less than they are nowadays.
Definitely
Also,
less.
yeah, I mean, we've kind of answered this question before.
Yeah.
It's
I try a lot of new things because of my stream, because of the podcast, and I'm glad that I do.
that's
But
exactly how
I
I feel. Yeah.
yeah, I mean if I didn't have a stream or a podcast, I would be playing less games, certainly. You know, if I didn't have a family, I'd probably be playing Final Fantasy 14. But it is what it is. So
Damn.
now I'm playing whatever dumb fucking game I'm playing.
I mean,
Last of Us 2.
my approach to playing games has changed significantly over the years. First it was I got a job when I first got a job at GameStop, where I met David, and just being around David made me want to try things that I had never considered trying before. And that's kind of how I became interested in. That's why I even started entertaining the notion of recording this podcast with David, was because I enjoyed going to work because it meant I got to hang out with David and just talk about video games, and that kind of snowballed. And then the podcast has just kind of kept that momentum going over the years. And there's a lot of games that I never would have played or touched or considered if it weren't for
Like Desperados 3.
like Desperados 3, like Outer Wilds, like Supraland, Return of the Obra Dinn, just to name a few. Subnautica, all incredible games that I adore that I never would have played if it wasn't for the show. So in that sense, I'm very glad for what the show has done for me as far as games go. Yeah, I mean, it does get stressful sometimes, which is why we've kind of recently adopted just a more casual approach to play what you like kind of thing. That's why I'm playing a lot more games that didn't come out this year. I'm not really worrying as much anymore about whether or not the game I'm playing is current necessarily. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I love about 4-player flashback months, right? Because it gives people a chance with no modern pressures of like keeping up with whatever, and just kind of enjoy some older shit that they may have missed back in the day.
Absolutely. He in closing, he does say also, I would like to thank you guys and the community for being great support to endure these times of isolation. Cheers. So that's a thank you to us and to you guys in chat and in Discord. Guys, thank you so much for your questions. Again, if you're a supporter on Patreon or a Twitch subscriber and you want to leave a question for a future show, go to the supporters channel in Discord. There's a pinned message with a link to the forum where you can submit your question. And there's still quite a few on here. We'll read more of them next week. But for now, it is time to wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. So, Brad, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, sure. My fuck you is going to go to Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. More specifically, all this lazy half-ass deal. I don't want to say lazy. All this uninspired half-ass DLC that they've been releasing. Half-baked, I mean. Not lazy, not half-ass. Half-baked. And kind of piss poor DLC. Like, all the Kickstarter stretch goals that they hit because they didn't expect to make as much money as they did, so they had to throw some shit together, and now they had to deal, and it's been kind of rough. I just recently played the boss revenge mode, where you get to play as the bosses, but you just fight a series of heroes as one of 4 bosses, and like they're so poorly like thought out and balanced. It's just kind of a joke mode. I mean, it's just I just want them to stop putting out all these stretch goals so they can maybe just do something new. Maybe a new game down the line would be nice, right? But instead of doing these half-baked promises, fulfilling these half-baked promises, it's been kind of frustrating, and just fuck off with that stuff. But whatever. I guess they have no choice, right? My sweat. I'll save my sweat. My thank you for the week goes to the PlayStation sale that's going on right now. I finally snagged the Frozen Wilds DLC. It was only $5, so now I have Horizon and Frozen Wilds, and I think all told it only cost me $15, which was nice.
Nice.
So I should be able to play that, although it's a little frustrating because the PC version's about to come out, but I don't think I'm gonna pay that amount of money to play Horizon.
For what it's worth, the PS4 version performs great.
Yeah, but you didn't play it on a poor, Nick.
You're right. I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is first party.
Bastard.
It is first party, which makes me think. Oh,
How did it run on the poor, Crispy?
Oh, I'm not a pro.
Did it run okay?
What?
Horizon. You played Horizon, right?
Oh,
base PS4.
Oh, I did play it on a. I did play. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, it ran okay. It ran fine.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll probably play that sometime when I find the time. Something to play. My sweat is tomorrow. So they're gonna do like a Nintendo Direct or a Treehouse Live thing where they're going to show off that new Paper Mario, which, by the way, bit of a sweat. People are finding out that it's absolutely not an RPG. But they tacked on, they said, we're also going to be announcing a new Way Forward game. Now, Way Forward, you might know them as the creators of Shantae, and they've done a lot of cool indie games like Contra 4, A Boy and His Blob. Like they've been doing Aliens Infestation, a lot of cool Mummy Demastered, a lot of cool side scrollers, right? And it's this indie developer that for years people were like, new Metroid, might as well just let Way Forward do it. I bet they can do it. New Castlevania game, maybe just let Way Forward do it, right? These franchises that the owners aren't really doing much with, like people have always kind of thrown around the term Way Forward. So they announced that Way Forward is going to be doing a game in a series that they have never worked on before. Right. So it leads people to believe like, okay, so they're making a game in a series. Immediately people started thinking Metroid. They're going to have them do a side scrolling Metroid game. Right. Because, that's the talk, right? That's always been. But then I think people were so sure that that's what it had to be. Nintendo went out and said, no, it's not going to be first party. It's going to be third party. So we're going to find out whatever Way Forward is working on. It's going to be announced tomorrow. It's going to be a third-party series. Is it going to be a Castlevania game? Probably not. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I guess that's why it's my sweat. I'm excited, but I'm also a little worried because it's probably going to let me down. And my hype for this week is Harada. You might know him as producer on the Tekken series. He tweeted out like I don't know where the image came from. There was an image that had a couple of like Tekken screenshots or whatever, right? And one of them had Li Xiaolun, but in the background there was it was cut off. He was out on the town, cut off. People noticed a certain logo, and it was a logo for a real a restaurant, like a real restaurant in Japan that is often featured in the Yakuza series. Now, they're going to have announcements very soon for a new season of of Tekken characters, right? And the thing about especially because Evo was supposed to be happening like right now, and this is where you would have started getting a lot of announcements for fighting games. But real world locations have never been featured in the Tekken universe, really. So to see like a real world location, like a ramen shop or whatever it was, some sort of restaurant that was been featured in the Yakuza series, is a sign that maybe that is actually a scene from the video that is going to introduce Kiryu Kazuma, which has been like the most requested DLC character for Tekken, which would be fucking huge because that's awesome because it's Kiryu Kazuma and that's just fucking cool. He's a perfect fit for Tekken. So everyone's kind of got their fingers crossed on this. That I don't know if it was an intentional tease or if it was just an accidental, like people didn't think people would figure this out, put two and two together, but we could be hearing very soon that we might be getting Kiryu for Tekken, and that is very exciting. So that's my hype.
Sweet.
Majima would
Crispy?
be pretty good too.
All right.
I'd settle for Majima for sure.
Sorry,
Crispy.
Okay. My hype for this week, I'm going to give it to Rogue Legacy 2 because I didn't know that game was coming out in early access so soon. Watch the trailer.
Wait,
It looks really cool. In like 2 or 3 weeks.
Sorry.
What?
Yeah,
I forgot there's a mic in front of my mouth.
You're talking to people. Yeah, so Rogue Legacy 2 looks fucking dope. I love the first game. Can't wait for the second one. My sweat this week goes to the fact that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs opened over here on my other screen related to Sea of Thieves. Which makes me think I might try to jump into that game.
It's free, right? I mean, more or less free, right?
And a totally different game than
It's a Game Pass. It's a Game Pass game.
I don't have Game Pass.
Dude, Game Pass, it costs dick. Like they give it away like for free all the
but
time.
what if they take it off Game Pass and I still want to keep playing?
Then it's like $5 a month. Oh, if they take it off Game Pass?
Yeah.
They're not gonna do that. That's not how Microsoft works anymore. Not with something like that.
Bro. Why did they just put it on Steam? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Sea of Thieves. I feel the itch, but like everything I'm reading is like it's kind of rough if you're alone.
Oh yeah, don't go in alone.
But I want to play.
But don't go in alone. Find some buddies.
Community, bro. We have a community.
Yeah. I bet Nolan will play with you.
A pirate game with me. Also, I'm watching One Piece, so like the pirate thing is
Doing it for you.
Doing it for me. That was a sweat. My thank you I'm going to give to the community just for the last few weeks for these, like, I'm not going to say what, but these events that we've been having in Discord are really fun, and it's been really great sharing that time with everybody, and I can't wait to do more of those. Wink wink. And then my fuck you to the week goes to me because earlier today I got a text from a former roommate. Like, hey Chris, hey, how's it going? Listen, you still play D&D? And I was like, of course I do. Playing it online nowadays, but yeah, I still play D&D. And he's like, oh, cool. Well, I got these friends who I've always wanted to play and they've never played. And you're the only person I've ever played with. And I think, like, I really like how you DM the game. Like, I think I want to get a game going with these guys and have you DM it for us. And I was like, sure, we'll figure it out. And then after I had that conversation, I stopped and I thought about how many D&D games I'm like involved in right now, and it was literally like 6 or 7.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I can't believe
you're in too deep.
I just agree. They're not all weekly, but like 4 of them are. Like,
no, Crispy, no.
Maybe 5.
My fuck you of the week goes to Crispy as well.
What the fuck? What?
So, yeah,
Okay,
I don't know.
It's okay. We love you.
I don't know.
Crispy.
Like if anyone ever asks me if I want to play D&D, the answer is yes. I'm sorry, I have a disease.
Do you want to play? Do you want to play Baldur's Gate 2 next month?
Sure, I will. I'm not gonna like it as much, but I will.
Not just hear him. If someone asks him if he wants to play D&D, the answer is yes, regardless of the circumstances.
Oh, did you click on that link that I sent you? Have you seen that shit?
Which one?
Oh my god!
What? Where did you send it?
In the
I
meeting channel
texted
earlier.
it to you and a Discord probably.
Just immediately be like, oh my god.
No, it was a play. Autumn the Cuzzy, who uploaded Scooter Brothers, uploaded all of our D&D sessions that we had. We had 4 different sessions.
They were not good.
This was
No.
4-player pre-you, Crispy, of us playing D&D. Me, Nolan.
Oh,
Nick.
yeah. I've watched those before.
Oh, you've watched? Okay, I see.
I've
I
watched
didn't
those
know.
before. I watched those around the first time we were trying to do.
I didn't know you had seen them
On a
before.
scale of 1 to
D&D.
10, how frustrating were they?
There was a lot of people
It
who
was
had
a
never
lot.
played before.
It was a lot, and it was definitely like, I don't know. It's so weird, like looking at somebody else's table though. Like I want to say like, oh my god, nobody here is actually like even trying to play D&D, but I know that when I play, me and my friends dick around a lot too, So I don't know. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
It's okay.
What more can you ask for? I guess, right?
We didn't know what we were doing, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And you guys were playing a long time ago, so it was like 3rd edition or 4th edition that you
Some
were
of
playing?
us had different edition books because we just got one and
Yeah,
grabbed
that's-
whatever we can get. We had like 3.0 and 3.5, I think.
We didn't have you
Right.
there, Crispy, to put us on the right path.
That's a disaster. that's terrible. I think nowadays, now that I've like become proficient with Roll20 and I have a bunch of resources in Roll20 now, I think I could run a very streamable game for us if you guys wanted to play.
Yeah,
I
That
would
be a lot of
love
fun.
to.
Put another D&D campaign on your plate.
Yeah, let's do
Look
it.
it.
I'll just start. I'm at the point where I'm triaging my campaigns. Like, which ones can I
September
cut
is
away?
D&D month.
Which ones can I cut away? We should do something when Baldur's Gate 3 comes out.
That would be great and
So
relevant.
do you have a campaign that you're part of or that you DM that's like definitely the worst of the bunch and you're just thinking of ways to kill everybody to end it quick?
There are 2 campaigns that I'm involved in that are the same groups of people. It's the same party with different characters.
God.
The only difference is that there's one individual who is in one version and not in the other. And like yeah, and like I was so like, oh, the one that doesn't have that guy is the one that I would like to keep going with, and then I'll cut the other one and open up my Sundays. But the only reason that we play on Sunday is because that guy can only play on Sunday.
Oh my God.
But everybody else who played wanted to play more because like I literally okay, I'm looking at Discord right now. I am in 1, 2, 3, 4 different D&D party Discord servers. And a couple of these, like the one with the player who keeps like drawing pictures of everybody, like those players are the most rabid ones. They are the ones that are like every night of the week. If I could DM every night, they would play it.
I can't wait till COVID is done and past us, and it's going to be like the classic episode of every sitcom where he's on 2 different dates in the same restaurant, and he's like, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom," and he's DMing the other campaign.
Are you?
Reminder,
you're
guys.
joking.
These campaigns, Chris, are you actually participating as a non-DM?
Yeah, like half of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I feel like everybody's trying to DM you the way you're talking about it.
No,
I don't mean to
a
piss
lot
on the
of my
D&D parade
friends.
here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. A lot of my friends don't DM, so I DM for them. But like, I went on Roll20 and joined a couple like random pickup games that I'm playing with strangers. That I've been playing with like since quarantine began. Like, I'm getting to know strangers on the internet through D&D through playing with them once a week since lockdown started. It's fucking weird, man.
Brad, he's got a disease. It's okay. It's okay.
He has a parasite.
Crispy, I think that was your fuck you. Where are we in your 4-player minute now?
That was my fuck me. That was it. That was the last one.
Oh, okay. Really? All right,
Yeah.
Chris Davis, you're up.
Okay. My first hype this week, I'm going to put it towards the Microsoft event on the 23rd. I just want to know what like a modern day Fable game and what
Hallelujah.
Curious.
and what a perfect dark in 2020 is like.
I want to know what a
what else
non-Molyneux
everybody
Fable
else
looks
is
like.
working on. I want to see more of what the Hellblade 2 is. We didn't get our proper E3, and we got thrown like a cavalcade of announcements, but nothing like really meaty. And this is one of the last events that I think we can look forward to for that.
There's gonna be, well, you keep going.
I just scrubbed through the previous hypes from previous weeks, and I noticed that Chris Davis didn't have the Sony event as his hype.
Wait,
But he
Wait,
does
do you
have the
keep tabs-
Xbox event as his hype. It's weird.
Are you
What?
writing down his
No.
hypes every week?
no,
Strange.
fuck off.
Yep. Don't listen to this bitch. Keep going, Chris
Fuck
Davis.
off. My second hype this week is for a game I found out about on Kickstarter today. That I think you might be interested in, Nick. It's called.
Oh,
Death
is this the
Ground.
dinosaur one?
Yes, Death Ground.
Yes, I watched the trailer for that. The Dino Crisis wannabe.
It is a
like the-
first-person co-op focused survival horror dinosaur game set on an island.
I will
And-
not back that, because I do not. It's one of those projects where it's like,
Made by
will-
former Alien Isolation developers.
I know.
And
I'll
it
believe
shows
it.
in
You
that
can
trailer.
you can definitely see the influence of Alien Isolation in that trailer, but that trailer was all just.
So this is like legit?
I mean, could be.
I mean, it could be.
It's
But
also
first-
years away if they
But first person?
So
yeah.
what the fuck does
I
that
mean,
matter? Alien
it looks
Isolation
very-
was first person.
It looks like Dino Crisis meets Alien Isolation, with more Alien Isolation in the DNA.
Yeah,
So
what's
you
wrong
should
with
be
that?
happy with that, Nick.
But like, dude, I'm still waiting on the first game I ever backed on fucking
Really? What is
Kickstarter.
that?
God, I don't remember the name of it anymore. Hold on. Keep going, Chris Davis. I'll bring it up in a second.
If it's Star Citizen, I'll be surprised.
It's not Star Citizen. It's an RPG. It's like a 16-bit RPG or 8-bit RPG. Or
My
16-bit, sorry.
my sweat this week goes to the Ubisoft event that happens this Sunday. I don't know if y'all heard, but as Ubisoft has been going through some bullshit lately.
Heartforth Alicia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I have played that game at E3
Yeah, me
like
too.
3 years ago, and I've been backing it since I lived with Nolan.
More like 5 years ago.
basically, yeah. That's and your game
Sorry.
has a better chance of releasing than mine. Let me put it that way.
You're probably right. Sorry. Okay. So Ubisoft this weekend.
Ubisoft has their event this weekend, and I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but they've recently gone through a lot of sexual assault allegations with a bunch of their staff. They've conducted reviews, and they said they're working on it. But one of the people that was flagged was Maxime Belland. He was the creative director for Far Cry, but more importantly, for the Splinter Cell franchise, and he's resigned. And I have a feeling that in their most active possible way they could distance themselves from him, specifically, they will go ahead and not announce a new Splinter Cell.
Dude, I don't think allegations against anybody are going to have any actual consequences. Like, that's not going to result in projects being canceled. It's going to result in people.
That
I bet if there were allegations again,
Sorry. If the Splinter Cell game existed and it was in development and it was being worked on, and it was significant portion way into development, I don't think seeing someone fired because of these allegations is going to translate to the whole project being canceled. If it was like on paper, if it existed on paper and they were like, "Oh, he's gone," cancel that project, that would be totally different. I don't think you throw out an entire team's work, right? I mean, he's not the only person on a project.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know,
Assassin's Creed Valhalla just lost their creative director for the same shit, and not
yeah,
the same kind of allegations, but similar situation where they're trying to he's out of there. But like
Yeah,
Assassin's
but
Creed
say,
Valhalla is not going to
that's
get canceled.
Assassin's Creed. Are you telling me if Michel Ancel was ousted from Ubisoft, they would keep going with Beyond Good and Evil 2? No fucking way, dude. That's been his baby forever. Ubisoft doesn't want to make that game.
Are you likening Splinter Cell to Beyond Good and Evil 2? Because I think that's a bit of a stretch.
No, what I'm saying is that is an example of an Ubisoft project that is helmed by such a passionate person, and I have a feeling that no one gives a shit about Beyond Good and Evil beyond that man.
I know, but like I don't think you can say the same thing about Splinter Cell.
No, you're right. You're probably right.
Sorry,
But
continue.
Splinter Cell is not as big, nearly as big as Assassin's Creed. It really isn't. It's the reason why we haven't seen a Splinter Cell game in a long time.
In 7 years.
You're right.
7
hey,
years.
The Last of Us 2 was developed in 7 years. Come on. This is the longest 4-player minute we've ever done collectively as a group.
Fucking interrupting me. And my fucking this week goes to White Owls, the developers of Deadly Premonition 2. That came out this week. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The reviews came out this week. It comes out for everyone tomorrow. And all the footage I've ever seen of this, and the biggest complaint is that the game runs like dog shit. Now, I know that is a hallmark of the original release, but
no,
you have to see this footage to believe just how bad. You can't. It does not make sense how, unless they had particularly targeted this level of just garbage.
No.
Like
they didn't do it on
no
purpose.
excuse.
Okay, this is a developer who's not good at making games, and they made it for the Switch. That's why it runs like shit.
Oh, I didn't realize that game is for the Switch.
It's only for the Switch.
Yeah.
The only way to play it is on Switch, and even when it's docked, it's bad. Like, we're talking sub 20 with constant frame hitching.
Yikes. Ouch.
And pop in for days. Yeah, I challenge anybody, just go watch like 5 minutes of that, and you will be so turned off. They initially said that they weren't going to release a patch to fix that.
Yeah, they've walked back on that statement.
They've walked back saying we will discuss it.
I think they chose to release only on Switch because the game was going to look so fucking bad. That's the only place they could get away with how bad it looked.
That's the only logical explanation right now. So
next,
but anyway, that's all for me. You're Nick. You can finally go.
Sorry, I've had to pee since Brad started his 4-player minute. If that tells y'all anything,
let's keep it going.
Fucking Crispy over here, like I could talk about D&D for hours. All right, my hype this week goes to I don't know why, but I got the itch to give Fire Emblem Three Houses another try, and I really want something on my Switch to play.
Did I recommend that to you?
You didn't have to. Like, I'll be honest, Fire Emblem is one of those games like I know I will like if I just let myself get far enough into it to let it sink into me. Every time I see footage of that game, it makes me want to play it, and I just got to get through like the tutorial shit and get into the thick of it where I start to like get attached to the characters. Also, I'm gonna be totally honest, it kind of scratches that like Harry Potter itch that I like, that I kind of want to, I'm excited. I'm going to stay with my parents for a couple days. I want to take my Switch with me. I'm gonna play Three Houses while I'm there. So,
how many games are you playing at the moment?
You don't need to know. Shh.
I kind of want to know.
About as many as Crispy's D&D games. Let's just leave it at that.
That's frightening.
But you know what? I'm enjoying myself. My thank you this week goes to Carlos. I had a birthday a couple weeks ago. Carlos gifted me a copy. Oh, also thank you to Chris Davis as well, because I don't think we've done a normal show since my last birthday. Chris Davis gifted me a copy of Subnautica Below Zero, which I'm respectfully waiting until it's out of early access to actually play, but I'm so glad it's there.
Oh, well, that means I can play, right?
Go for it. And Carlos gifted me a copy of Lost in Vivo, which he's been raving about, and it looks like a kind of a Silent Hill inspired horror game. Also, technologically speaking, looks kind of similar. Looks kind of similar to like something like Dusk, maybe. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm really interested in trying it. So thank you, Carlos. I
Silent Hill
intend
is
to
what
give it.
they're aiming for.
Yeah,
There.
I know. I'm talking about visually speaking. It looks kind of that style of the graphical style. My fuck you of the week goes to Brad for making me interested, despite my best attempts to the contrary, in Crosscode. I downloaded it on Game Pass today, played it for about 10-15 minutes. And I
how
kind
did
of
I make you interested in it? Because the only thing I said about it is I took
stretch,
2
dude.
Jeff Kanata tweets and I replaced God of War and Last of Us 2 with Crosscode.
Dude, I'm just Jesus Christ. This is a bit of a stretch with my fuck you. I was just trying to have all 4 of them here. So I wanted to mention Crosscode. So I just said fuck Brad.
Hey, Crosscode is awesome.
Hey, I'll be honest, I didn't really get it, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I didn't really have the feel down. But it's very responsive. It feels very snappy, and the combat feels nice. I'm not very far, obviously. And I'm kind of intrigued by those first story bits too. So
Hey Nick, what if Zelda had an amazing cinematic story? What if Last of Us had incredible skill-based combat? What if Uncharted somehow put all the violence into context? What if Dark Souls was approachable and clear? The answer to all of these questions and more is Crosscode.
What was that tweet originally in reference to?
It was the last
God of War.
Two.
No.
Oh no, it was God of War.
This was God of War 2018.
Oh God.
From the creator of the Schindler's List tweet.
Yeah. This guy's a machine, huh?
Oh my God, he really knows how to knock him out of the park there. And my sweat goes to Ghost of Tsushima, mostly because I really would like to have the physical copy, but it's looking like it's going to be delayed. Amazon did move it up about 5 days. It was originally scheduled for like August 5th. Now it's like, or actually, I think now it's like July 25th. So it moved it more than that. But if it's not going to arrive in time for the launch, I'm probably just going to go digital, which kind of sucks. But I'm hoping that at the last few days leading up to launch, they figure it all out and it moves back to its normal release day launch window. Because my Paper Mario pre-order is still slated to arrive on launch day, which is the same day. So I don't know what's going on there. It's weird. And that's the end of my 4-player minute. See, that was quick.
Here's what I don't understand about this tweet. He says, "What if Last of Us had incredible skill-based combat?" And then he goes, "What if Uncharted somehow put all the violence into context?" Isn't that what The Last of Us did in the earlier part of the tweet? From the same developer?
Yes.
It's a bad tweet.
It's a
This is a bad tweet.
Not great.
It's not a good tweet. Anyways, guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Thank you for listening at home. We really appreciate it. 4playernetwork.com is the website. Again, we will make a more official announcement regarding 4-player flashback. What do we call it, Brad? 4-player flashback
to 2000.
Oh,
to
really?
the year 2000. To the
year
flashback.
2000. I was
to the
4-player flashback.
How about 4PPY2K?
Oh,
I saw someone in chat type that.
There it is. I don't know.
4PPY2K.
I like that. Anyways, we'll make an announcement about that very, very soon. If you want to support us,
though, we're not a nightly broadcast anymore, because last time we were able to do the calendar with all the logos and stuff, which was cool. But I guess we can't do that this time.
I mean, we can still make a less filled out calendar.
You know what would be a great caveat for that month?
I have to pee so
we
bad.
either can only play games from 2000, or we have to play games that have 2000 in the name.
What?
You have something very specific in mind, I feel like. For this.
No, I just thought of that. I thought that there might be some hidden gems or some actual garbage that we could play. That'd be fun.
It's called Jimmy's, Chris Davis. They're called Jimmy's. Guys, thank you so much for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website. Discord, if you want to join the community and just be a part of all the discussions happening, discord.gg/4player. Also, if you're a supporter on Patreon, you can vote now in our first bracketed poll for the Revival Club.
Crispy, talk about Batman. Crispy, talk about Batman.
Oh, guys, I hate you. I got to pee so bad. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.